And that's fine. He chairs us here. And grabs and takes a look.
I got
So whatever that is, that's what you guys. Yes. And she said, yeah. Oh, okay. Hey, And 14 first 10 days of July are the 10 days that year. July is not this.
And this is gonna be kind of back in casual today. I'm so for today. On it. I said, you look great.
I don't know what I'm doing. I'm good, nice to see you. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I need to turn it on. I need honor. Yeah, considering. Okay. Yeah.
When we get done, then if that's okay, I've got all the stuff I was gonna give me a 12 o'clock check on. Oh, yeah. I have no problem. My car's in.
We're gonna have to get.
Hey, Daddy. So the head shake over here. Screaming at me. Well, I gotta figure out something to do for him. $30. That's fine. That one gave me another. Yeah.
That's the same.
Oh, how many? Yeah.
Yeah. Been on the road.
Absolutely.
He's like, no.
No, you find boss, you find us. Oh, I told him.
Hey, go ahead, President.
Alright, you ladies wanna speak first and?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, good morning to everyone that's here today. I'm Mackenzie Speck. I'm the District Director of Sales and Marketing for this property, the Clubhouse Hotel and Suites, and the Best Western Plus Grand Coda here in Sioux Falls.
I'm Johnson, I'm sales manager for the clubhouse here. There's water bottles in the fridge, if anyone needs, coffee is up there, Wi-Fi password is right there if you need it. And we could do tours afterwards if anyone's interested.
Yeah, we just finished an expansion, and remodel of rooms like this one. We'd love to show you around to a few of those room types, especially the balcony room types we just added on, so you can familiarize yourself with this property.
Also, I kind of want to move in here now.
Yeah.
We can do it. Okay. No tax. Okay. Stay great.
So, have a good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming.
Call the meeting to order. And the first thing on the agenda is the April minutes. Anybody have any changes?
I move for approval.
All those in favor? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Cool, so moved. All
Can I
right,
ask when we make motions and seconds, can we please note who those people are so I can get them in the minutes?
Welcome, everybody on Zoom.
Johnny and Tom. For that one.
What's his name? Just call him Howard. Oh, yeah. He just looks like he should have a good name.
When you talk, he's gonna zoom in on you, Don.
Hello, Michelle Thompson.
Hello.
I don't know how to make it do both.
Where you guys are looks much more comfortable than my office.
East Lane's place.
Yeah, so that they
Yeah,
can see it.
Rapid is the same. I just did a tour there because, you know, they just opened the clubhouse there. And I'll tell you, the presidential suite was like, this is nice and rooms on everything anyway.
Yeah, we should have figured this out.
Oh, there's Rick and Caleb.
Oh, nice.
That's good.
Caleb, Rick.
Here, that I'd be so organized and have a PowerPoint this time. Yeah,
There they are.
I think you're just gonna have to do it. Like this. I don't know. Unless this way. Stay with us while we work on the technical difficulties.
Casey, you want to do a stack to you?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure, I have a Mac, I don't have a.
Oh. If you give me that option, it should be a. And then. Gallery,
Okay,
there you go.
but I'm trying to figure out how to put the. So this is smaller, so that, can you share it? This is.
This is very, very similar. And Mars here, your lapses on top.
Unless it's a presentation. I mean, you've got. Yeah. Other friends.
Hello, Diana.
Perhaps you know how to.
Hi, Diana.
Since you're the tech guy over here. I don't have a.
Caleb, can you hear me?
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. I am leaving this afternoon, so
Okay. Motorcycle?
no,
No.
it's tough for me to set, to fit my golf clubs on it, so it looked kind of weird.
That and riding in the rain is
We can
fun.
keep moving, you guys, while we're working on this, so, hey.
Yep.
I'm sending them to Caleb.
Caleb, you wanna do the financial report?
Sure, I will certainly give it a go. If you guys want to look at the balance sheet to begin with, we're sitting pretty well in terms of assets, about $78,000 in cash. We have about $6,700 in receivables, which I assume is membership dues yet to be paid, right, Carmen?
A few, we've only got about 6,000 out there that's not been paid yet.
Yep. Okay. And then if you look at our year-to-date profit and loss statement, we're looking pretty good. We're in the black, which is always a nice thing. Kudos to Mr. Beegler and the crew for getting us right-sized. And we're actually pretty front-loaded on expenses through the first part of the year. So most of our programming and those expenses hit us in the first half of the year. And of course, our lobbyist is one of our larger costs at $21,000. And there's a profit and loss statement for March 15th through June 20th that kind of shows you how those costs were front loaded. So we ran at a deficit of about $40,000 through that period. Yeah, and I would stand by for any questions. And when I say I mean Carmen.
Yes. Just to kind of add on to what Caleb was saying, like he said, the spring, once we got right off of our legislative session, we jumped head on into programming. And we never had programs before. So this was a unique experience for the organization. And so a lot of those expenses, like Caleb said, the lobbyist bill hit right after our last board meeting. So that was roughly a little over, what, 21,000 roughly on there somewhere. And then the other programs that we did, which we will be reviewing here. This is going to be kind of a laid back, let's review 2025 and the programs that we did, and then let's look at 2026, what can we do? Do we want to keep doing them? How do we readjust them? In my director's reports, I've been putting in there, here's what happened, here are my thoughts for next year. So if you read my director's report, we'll be covering a lot of those different thoughts as well. Learned a lot with some of these programs. I've not dealt with doing events at hotels and various other things in about 5 years. So there's a lot of things that have changed in the industry that I was not aware of. So it was a good learning experience for me. There were expenses that I really didn't think that we would accrue, that we did accrue. So looking back on them, these are some of the things that I want to talk with the board and say, what are your thoughts on this? So come on in. This is the TCSD board meeting. Okay, maybe not. Anyway, so yeah, heavy on expenses the first 3 months. And most of these things hit all in a period of about 5-6 weeks. So it was very, very intense from my perspective, from a marketing perspective. But we'll get into that a little bit later once we start reviewing the 2025 stuff. Okay. Questions on anything?
I think you've done a good job getting us some new members. I was very happy to start to see that. That will make us much stronger.
And we'll go right into that. We have 19 new members to date. Some of those, we have one trade out with LNS that you can see where they helped us with the statewide media blitz. And then Canton is here. Lisa. She was our winner. We did a drawing at the Southeast Regional Tourism Association's annual meeting, and Lisa registered and she won a free membership for the year. So we are super excited to have her here. The ones on the next column are verbal commitments that I've received just over the course of the last 3 weeks with meetings. So Casey and I were talking about it a little bit last week, and it seems like it takes anywhere from 35 to 60 days to get from a meeting with somebody to get a commitment from someone. So rarely does it come in quicker than that, because I'm generally not always talking to that single person. They usually have to take it somewhere else. So anyway, had some really good meetings in here last week, Monday, really good meetings in Sioux Falls on Tuesday. And had a really nice long conversation with Terry on Tuesday as well. So thank you for the office space, because it's always appreciated when I'm traveling. So, but to your point, Johnny, because programs were so heavy in the third quarter, I mean, or the second quarter, did not get a lot of sales in on that. I mean, met a lot of people, but didn't have real substantial conversations with anybody. So you'll start seeing that change a little bit now going into fall. However, I'm going to start working on a budget. We didn't have a budget this year, so hopefully we'll have a budget next year. And that'll be at the membership meeting in October, where we'll show the budget. Actually, the board will see it before then, but actually work for something as opposed to kind of flying the way we did this year. So, okay. Any questions? Something that would really, really help me. All of you know people. And all of you know people who probably should be a member, and you have personal relationships with them. What I found this last week were the warm introductions that I received from different individuals that I've met that said, hey, Mary, you need to talk to Carmen. She's working on this project. Here's a email introduction to her. You two should get together and talk about what TCSD can do for you. Those I have found have been very, very helpful, especially if I don't know that individual, because you give me credibility because you know that individual. So if I could ask you to consider doing such things, if you know people that truly it makes sense for them to be a TCSD member, do a warm introduction to me. I'd really appreciate that because it makes it really easy. Okay? Not that my job needs to be easy. It just helps me streamline it a little bit better, so. Okay.
You know, Carmen. What might be helpful, is if you just send an email that actually lists all the current members. Because quite frankly, I don't remember, and I mean, you know, when it comes to like attractions or things in the Black Hills, if I go down that list, and then I can say, oh, why aren't you in there, Bear Country, or whatever, you know, the case may be,
Right.
that would be helpful.
And we just had that added to, the members only section of the Tourism Coalition website. But I can certainly send that whole roster out to the membership if that would be helpful, so that you can see.
Well, I think it would be.
Okay. Because that also came out in the survey, that somebody was asking, where can we find all the members and where can we find the board of directors? And the board of directors is listed on our website. That is not under the members only section. However, the roster is under the members only section. Now, maybe for future development on our website, and you tell me as a board, the reason that the roster is not, the whole roster is not on the open to the public page is because it has emails and stuff like that. But if we were to do a directory that didn't have emails or had hidden emails, you know, how would that work for you? Because that would require a development page, from Poland to do on our website. Would you rather see it open to the public, or would you rather see it in a members only section?
Think open to the public,
Okay,
makes it too easy to not be a member.
okay,
What I would say is, I would tag team on what Johnny said, and give us a list of past members that have opted out or just not renewed or whatever. And we'll let those of us on the board maybe do a little legwork to try to get some of those back.
okay.
Especially because I think the story now is significantly more impactful than it was 2 years ago.
Okay.
So
I'm making notes, keep talking.
on the website, would it be beneficial just to have like a member list without any contact info to make it seem? I'm just thinking of someone that Carmen's trying to sell this to, and they go to the website, and then all of a sudden they see 3 members' names and businesses that are like, oh, this is pretty legit. But if it's all hid, then I don't know. Like that's where I'm like, if you could just, maybe it just highlights the businesses and not any contact info.
Yep.
And that way, like, you can still keep the privacy when you know, if you wanna be a member, you can get their contact info, but like,
It's a good idea.
it just gives the list of like, hey, this is a legitimate thing, like.
Give them some phone.
Yeah.
Just it, like, hey, like, oh, okay, so. The gas station down the street, or the hotel down the street is a member, they're probably getting benefits, maybe I could jump on too.
Well, and it also allows them to ask, know who to ask, what is this about, if they're actually interested in, wanna, you know, we do a soft introduction of the, you know, I'm gonna find out who else I can get an opinion from.
Right, yeah.
And break out by region or by city to make it easy for people to see.
I mean, I know their chambers have all their members on there, regions have all their members on there, and now there's their contact information for. Their websites and everything, but I would think a list of members would be helpful.
Okay, so this is what I heard so far. Send a list of draft members to the board. Send, the board, as well as probably members, a list of the entire roster and membership right now. Have a basic listing that doesn't have any contacts, and then have them divided up according to region or by community. Okay, any other thoughts?
That sounds good, Steve.
All good,
Yeah.
all right, thank you. So that's pretty much it with memberships then. Just know that I have more time now. I say that and then I always find out I don't have more time. But to get out and do some of those different conversations and such, so thank you. I have had a few of you doing a really nice job of feeding the information as well, so. Okay. Mr. President?
So I think we need to go back and have a motion to approve Caleb's financial report.
So moved.
Johnny? Second. Josh? And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Alright, and then Carmen, you're done with your director's reports.
Mm-hmm. Unless anybody's got a question about some of the stuff I was working on. Because we'll cover a lot of that in this particular review as well. Things from the website, changes and some of our upcoming programs, so, okay?
Alright, so then we'll go to old business. You wanna recap the programs?
Yeah, and I'm gonna make a slight change in here, Mr. President, because as we do the review on the 2025 programs, we're also gonna do the brainstorming on 2026. Since we've got each one of these programs broken out, it makes sense that we just kind of address that right away instead of trying to come back to it at, in new business, if that's okay with everyone. Okay, perfect. So these are the different programs that we did in 2025. We created LART, which is the Legislative Action Response Team, and their coverage of the legislative session. And so we really want to dive into this fairly deep because this is the main thing that we do, guys. This is the advocacy part of what we do. Can go back one more, Casey. And then we'll talk about the spring legislative roundtables. I do not have any fall ones scheduled at this point. Not sure that we would have time to do a fall one. If for some reason Senator Thune would be available, we would say, yes, we'll do a fall one. But at this point, I'm kind of not considering doing a fall one. Destination Capitol Hill, the statewide PR and media blitz, the legislative toolkit, which is in progress. It is not completed at this point in time. The annual fundraiser, and then basically our communications. So these are the ones that we're going to really look at. Like I said, the only thing we had before this was our legislative session piece. So, okay, slide, Casey.
Keep going on way.
So these are the basic questions that I want to talk about as far as the session. The member communication. What did you think of it? Was it enough? Was it too little? Was it too much? Was it detailed enough? Was it not detailed enough? Were our requests for call to action clear? When we sent something out, was it timely? In some cases, we can't be as timely as we'd like to be. The methods of communication. So these are all things that I want, and this is an open forum, you guys, so just kind of throw stuff out there. I do ask you to be kind because I didn't know constant contact when I started, so that whole thing, as you probably noticed, changed dramatically as we went through 2.5 months of communication. Trying to figure out the best way to do that communication. I don't have it on here, I forgot to put it on here, but also like the Zoom updates that we did with Justin. So with that, whoever wants to start, good, bad, ugly, suggestions, we want it all.
I loved the number of communication, and when I did have questions, you were very responsive.
Okay.
That was helpful to me.
What did you like about it? What?
The timeliness and just, I feel like it was laid out very well in my committee status, because I still feel like pretty new to like being involved with legislative stuff. And it just made it easy for me to like reach out to my legislators.
Because when Casey and I were first doing this, and one of Casey's conversations was have samples, because you don't have time to write everything all the time. So what are the key points that we're looking for in this communication back to our legislators? Most people are more comfortable emailing as opposed to calling. Sometimes calls make a better impact. So we did some of that, maybe not as much as we should have. So knowing that going forward now, doing samples of here's maybe how you need to approach it. We will also cover some of that in the legislative toolkit. So once we have that piece out there talking about what are the key points that you need to put into your communications, and we start doing training on it, hopefully that will help everybody who, when they do a call to action and they respond, know how to handle it. Let's put it that way. But it's going to be a constant education piece because we will continue to have new legislators too. So, and they all like to be approached differently, as we know. But thank you, appreciate that. What else?
I really appreciated the Zoom sessions with Justin. I mean, Bailey on our team is constantly looking at that legislation too, but she's not in the hallways the way that Justin is. So to hear directly from him how different bills were going, what the sentiment was, I really loved those meetings.
And Justin liked doing them as well, as opposed to writing summaries all the time, which was very labor intensive for him. So I thought that they would be better attended. So not sure why we didn't have as much attendance. I don't know if it was the time of day.
You don't need to, at the tourism conference, make a bigger deal out of them. These are open to everybody who's a member, or if it's a member and stuff, and just really highlight that that's gonna be happening. And maybe even Justin talk about it at lunch, and he'll speak again this year, so he's, I do this on behalf of the tourism coalition of South Dakota. And, you know, if you, I don't, is it for members, is that how we do it?
Generally, we do it for members, but you know, at the same time, there's a side of me that says we need to also include people that we are potentially trying to get as members, so that they can understand the value statement that goes with it.
I think they were great, and I like that better than written as well, because you were able to ask Justin questions, and Justin seemed to have a pretty good handle on who in the meetings might have better input or be able to contribute to the specific issue we were discussing, and that I thought was very good.
Okay.
I
Hey,
was actually surprised at how many people were in the sessions. I didn't think that many people were gonna log on.
is that right?
I mean, there really, I mean, other than a couple emails to members, there weren't any, you know, we didn't advertise it or like tell people this was coming. So just to get 20 people on there, I thought was awesome.
Because it took me 2 months to figure out how to do the invite piece that had all of them on one email.
Either way.
But I figured-
Get that many people, like, with a relatively short turnaround, I mean, I was pretty impressed that many people signed up, which means it's valuable. So now we just need to figure out how to get the word out. And maybe non-members, you know, that if they're a non-member and they wanna join, they get one free session to join. And then after that, they gotta become a member, you know, like a little taste. You know, and that might be a way to get them over the hump, you know, like, oh, okay, they're going through all these bills, like. This is really interesting, like, this could be beneficial, I should join this.
Do you know how many people watched the recordings in your constant
I
contact
don't.
emails?
I don't.
Cause I think you uploaded those to YouTube and then linked them in, or how did you do that?
Yes, they are on our YouTube channel, but we don't promote our YouTube channel
Right,
either.
you should be able to see how many people clicked through.
Yeah,
If you
I
look in
haven't
your,
looked at that,
Yeah.
so I'll have to look at that.
I'd be curious to see if anybody wasn't able to make the call that then watched it afterwards.
And those of you who don't know, those videos are also on our members only section as well on the website. So, and if you don't have the password for that, password is capital letters TCSD 2024.
Can you repeat that, sorry?
TCSD, all caps, 2024. It's a tough one to remember, so.
Will it always stay 2024?
I don't know. Right now it is. But,
May I ask a question about effectiveness? So we're legislators, is there value in figuring or knowing which members are from which districts so that we need to have specific contact with specific legislators? Because they always listen to their constituents and their district first. And I think that's one place where, as we grow membership, we really need to maybe utilize that if it is appropriate. And that takes some work to do, but that might matter. I don't know.
that's a good question, because a lot of our stuff is very blanket. Which if they're not out of committee, if it's not out of committee yet, doesn't make a lot of sense maybe, but.
Yeah, it used to be very district and didn't think that we on the board roster, but to be honest, I haven't looked at that, so I don't know.
But
How it is now, but I, like the Liz and I are ex officio, I'm not sure if that's fully out there for her too, but. You know, into or not, but I think by district would be helpful, like I said.
Okay,
But even for members, like, Like if we're welcoming, if you're in District 10. Most people probably know that, you know what I mean? And here's your legislators and here's the committees they're on. And here's where, or maybe you can even make contact first, like here's the issues we're going after. Your legislators on the committee that's gonna hear this bill. A heads up that we might want you, if you're, want to communicate, I don't know, just to make sure we're using our membership effectively and helping them figure out how to communicate with the legislators so we can, move the issues we want to forward.
I could be part of that toolkit too, perhaps.
Or some kind of follow-up to show accountability, like they did actually reach out, so then it puts a little more pressure that they're actually taking the action and doing it if they have to follow back up and say, yeah, here they were contacted in my district or something.
I did hear back from quite a few people who told me that they did contact,
Good.
not everybody, but a lot of them did say that, yes, I contacted my legislator, so. Not everybody does, but it would be good to know. Okay,
Was there other feedback from the survey overall?
sorry,
Was there other feedback from the survey overall? This was mostly in the survey. I'm just wondering how many responses you got back from people that are here. Oh. I'm one of the four.
thank you, Rosie, I appreciate that.
Just curious, because I'm smelling the survey and I'm like, oh.
I just like with lobbying efforts that you've worked on, you have a track and sheet of news, yeah, and
Just assignments,
yeah.
and that's something to aspire to.
Okay.
Even as a one-person shop department.
Yeah.
Yeah, eventually getting to the point where, we'll use Anna as an example, she knows exactly who her legislators are, she knows what district she's in, she knows the contact information for her
Not
legislators.
everybody grants.
Not everybody does, so.
Or maybe it's just that you know where everybody's from, so if you do need to reach out on a specific issue, go, okay, that's the numbers that I'm gonna go to first on a one-to-one basis, because they might make a difference, so.
Yeah. So I'll take that district map and just kind of,
Yeah, the airport bill, we need the rural communities to,
yeah,
and that's a different issue in some ways, but if you're a rural community and your legislator is on the committee that's hearing one, something like that, that matters. That's the kind of strategically, I guess, when I say effectiveness is being strategic in that, so that getting that message delivered by a person who will get listened to in a serious way.
Diana has a question up here too, Carmen.
Diana, what you got?
She put it in chat.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Says, do we anticipate any proactive TCSD legislative asks or acts for the state legislature in 26 or 27? And should we?
Right now, I don't know of anything.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna say that we shouldn't, because, if there is legislation that we think needs to be driven, Justin and I did meet, just to have a recap of how the year went as far as our communications together. And we felt that it went pretty good. There were a few things that, we tripped up on as far as, because he's in the hallways and I'm not, so when I read something, it may have already been done and really wasn't an issue and he didn't tell me about it, and so I might panicking. But, we talked a little bit about, do we eventually get into the VRBO world, with legislation? Are we to that point yet? Can we do it effectively? If tourism's budget comes under attack, heck yeah, we will be involved in that particular thing and probably with your help, write legislation or whatever. So I think ultimately that's our goal, Diana, unless the board says no. Because if we're gonna be that force in the room someday, we need to be able to lead legislation that we believe we need to lead. So that's my opinion, board, you tell me, take my marching orders from you.
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. We shouldn't just be reacting. I mean, which we do have to do when the legislation is there, but to be proactive and say, we really need this to be addressed and get the LRC to draw it up for us.
That's my question, or just to kind of keep it in the forefront, which is we spend most of our time on defense, and that's fine. But I think if we start thinking of ourselves as being on the offense and watching for the things that we need, it might change the conversation somewhat. So just a reminder.
Yep,
Yeah,
I think everybody's in agreement.
I think our first offensive thing, if we're gonna create it, that I can see on the radar would be VRBO tackling legislation and health codes and equity in that hospitality market. I mean, it's came up several times, but I think that's gonna be something that is gonna have to be hit at some point.
And with that thought, I mean, if we're gonna do that, it starts the minute legislative session is over. You know, it's not
Right.
something that we start at this time of year. We would if we had to, but at the same time, if we're gonna look at writing a piece of legislation, it will have to be run through a particular process. And I think I could ask the tourism group, they would say, yeah, we need to make sure that leadership is on board. We need to make sure that we have checked the boxes with the people that we need to make sure that we are successful in that particular run. So am I correct?
Correct, yeah. First and foremost, governor's office and then down the line.
Anybody else on the Zoom? Rick, thank you. We know you drove in one day to testify. On the advertising bills, I believe it was.
I was very pleased with the outcome. I thought Justin did a great job.
And we know those are probably coming back this year. At least one advertising bill potentially. There are some things that we are watching as far as what's happening in some other states with DMOs. That we wanna make sure we keep watching just in case that idea comes to South Dakota. You know, we don't need any of our DMOs to potentially lose marketing dollars through their bid tax and their triple Bs and such, so.
Yeah, I would add to that point, I would add, there is a movement afoot nationwide, especially at the DMO level, city level. To divert a lot of money that goes to those DMOs to property tax relief. Now, that's been bandied around in our state as well. It hasn't gone anywhere. But you're seeing it in Florida, you're actually seeing it in Des Moines, Iowa, occurring. So that's something we need to keep an eye on. I haven't picked up any scuttlebutt yet, but we'll have to see how things play out with the governor's property tax relief initiatives. If he decides to have a special session, I don't think he probably will. A special session will occur on prison and funding for that, but property tax relief is gonna be a big issue this upcoming session.
Yeah, when Justin and I spoke, we know a lot of the same conversations will be taking place again this year in session. Some of these things will come back that we were working against as well. So realistically, he's been having several meetings on some of these pieces with some of the other lobbyists already. I ran into him last week, Tuesday, when I was in Sioux Falls here. And we chatted briefly about that. He was just coming from a meeting and a lot of it too kind of hinged on the prison conversation that was taking place that same day. And now it sounds like they have a location, which is Sioux Falls, correct? But there's still a lot of work to be done on that. So, but that's still gonna take some time. And I don't know if this fits here or not, but when I was out in Rapid City a few weeks ago and in Fort Pierre on Monday, there were a couple of Amtrak meetings, the railway. I didn't know about them, and I mean, I wish I would have known about them so that we could have at least gone to one of them, because even though it was, you know, it wasn't a bill for law, there are conversations taking place now about that, and we need to be kind of up to speed on it. Terry, is there one coming up here?
It's been quite a topic for the fall. I mean, City Hall, it was like, don't want to talk about it out there. And so that kind of puts us in a, you know, I forget the guy's name, he had a meeting here too. And I didn't ever hear back from him after that meeting. I don't think he probably had a good turnout. But he just keeps on trying. I'm sure he'll be back in a couple months with another idea.
I mean, it comes down to money. There's no doubt. It's gonna, if it's gonna be something that would be looked at for South Dakota, it's gonna cost money, I mean, from a state level as well as.
And I didn't even think of forwarding that to the department.
But that's okay.
So, yeah,
But I don't know what I don't know, and so, you know, when I ask different individuals for industry newsletters that are member facing, that way I know if there's meetings that maybe I should be at. I just encourage you to invite me if there's something that's going on, even if it's on a local level and you want me to know about it, it's helpful to know that. I was at the Game Fish and Parks Commission meeting last week in Yankton, which is always a good meeting to be at, because ultimately, we will be talking to them about becoming a large player next year. This year they can't, but next year they are considering it, so, good to be involved in those different conversations, so. Going back to this, yes.
I just want to add that if people are interested in the information on the passenger rail service or Amtrak, I wasn't able to make the meeting, but Dan has been communicating with me pretty consistently for quite a long time now. And I have a copy of the presentation that I can send to you and we can send out with the minutes if you'd like.
That'd be great, thank you. Yeah. Methods of communication, I want to touch on that real quick too. Email or prime one, just because. Texting, you will start seeing a lot of emails saying sign up for our text messaging and stuff. We got that kind of implemented late at the end of the session season, so we did not utilize it at all, but we will be utilizing it in 2026. Social media, you will probably see me creating a members only Facebook page. For several reasons, because this is not always information that the general public needs to know. Also, when we were doing our legislative roundtables, that's where some people found some of our invite information, and, you know, it was not a roundtable, it was intended to be an industry conversation, so. But, thoughts on those, I mean, email is quick turnaround for me, but at the same time, not everybody has their email in front of them. Texting is really good for a call to action, so we'll probably be utilizing a lot more of that.
Yeah, I think texting more so like things where you want a response, like you need a response now, you know. Email is more like, yeah, day two, you know, like, you know, or even if it's a call to action, like it's, you know, you don't expect a turnaround today. Yeah, texting is like, I won't turn around today.
I don't know, Angelica was sending emails, you know, at night, so. No, it happens.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's, in my world, that's how I view the differentiation a little bit, like, I don't wanna be bothered on my phone necessarily if I can avoid it. Unless I have to do something.
I like the emails.
Do you, John?
Well, that's probably because that's the only thing I can get.
What phone doesn't work?
As I do not have the smartphone that you can.
You don't even need a smartphone text.
Well,
let's see here.
when I do leave rap, but I do have it, yes.
That's a nice.
Still text on, so.
It's a real dial.
Well, but I don't have it turned up, when I'm home, I just have a landline.
I do think your emails are well organized and very digestible. Like it's something that I usually snooze until I can come back to it later in the day or something, but then I can read through it really quickly. Yeah, and so I really like the way that they're set up, and there's, you know,
They're wordy, but yeah, I don't know how you do it.
but they're not wordy. There's a lot in them.
Yeah.
And they're very straightforward on what are the things that you're presenting. So it feels like a lot of words, but it's a lot of information that I think is organized really quite
Good
well.
substance.
Yeah, exactly.
I would agree with Mike and John and. That would be my way, cause if you text me, then I'm gonna get it right away, and I just gonna have to act right away. You know, so, yeah.
I don't want to put you on the point, Rosie, but you said you filled out the survey.
I
So,
know, yeah.
were you?
Yeah, well, I like email, like I said, I have a lot of emails, but.
But no, I had somebody say, they would like to see a recap, on Friday and then a Monday one. Was that you? What are you thinking? Because I'm sitting here going, there's not a lot happening over the weekend. So what are you looking for in
Well,
that
you're just-
Friday and Monday?
You know, like for myself and a lot of other people, you're 3 hours from here. So if I I'm not monitoring all bills, that's what Tourist Coalition's doing, right? So by Friday, then Justin knows this is how this week went, right? This bill is gone, delayed, coming up, you know, in a week or two, and then on Monday say this bill's being heard here's the dates. So that you don't, I mean, you know what bills to watch, but then we don't individually have to go in there, unless you're gonna comment or email the committee. You have to go on every Monday and say, well, what's the schedule, right? That's what I was thinking of from that perspective.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's possible, but that, you know.
It is.
But you
As
have
long
a
as-
meeting and then you don't hear anything, and it's the weekend, and you know, like, I watched here or not, and that kind of thing. For sure.
And that's easy enough for me to do on my own if LRC has the stuff
Yes.
scheduled.
So they,
Which
so.
we ran into a bit of a problem
Yeah,
sometimes.
and they're supposed to have it updated by Friday.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and they weren't, there's a lot of stuff going
Yeah.
on, yeah, so, cause I ended up going in and checking myself, but
Yeah.
it would just be helpful, if it's not possible, it's not possible.
No, I think it is, you know, and maybe it just becomes that recap and hey, good morning, early Monday, here's what we got going on, so.
Yeah, well, and even if some things, we don't have to worry about it anymore, right? It's gonna come back around next year, but for right
As
now.
far as we know, we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah,
It might come back, but
yeah, I think it's not coming up on Tuesday, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
I wonder if
Okay, thank you.
the toolkit could have a I don't know, something about the LRC, like it's such a useful tool, like a little, how to use this, do you really care about this bill, get the track, you know?
Yep.
So a little bit of what it is, I don't think a lot of people, maybe I'm wrong, but understand quite how useful.
Yeah.
The tools are, and we don't need to recreate the wheel, maybe. You know,
No, from my perspective, I was thinking if there's 30 of us
Oh,
going
yeah.
in there on Friday and checking them all out, if one person could say,
Yeah.
this is where it's at, it's just. Yeah.
Well, and how to sign
Not
up,
that we should.
to testify virtually too, that would be a good thing to educate people.
that is very good, yeah.
Caleb's feedback is that the emails are great. Thanks for putting them together and creating the templates and training.
Carmen,
thanks, Caleb.
yeah, remind me, did you put together just just a spreadsheet of these are the bills, this is where they're at in the process, they're either passed, killed, coming up in committee? Did you do that? I've seen that for other associations, but I just can't remember if that was something that TCSD had done. 'Cause that's all too.
We did
so
kind of
that's
a
a lot.
weekly recap of, here's the bill, here's the actions taking place on that bill. And those were the ones that got a little long, because if they made it out of committee, we said out of committee, you know, hearing on the floor, if we knew when it was gonna be heard on the floor, you know, the House or the Senate. So yeah, we did have it. And I think I was probably a few weeks into it, once you really start seeing activity is when we started it. So, but I'll look back on it and I can send you a copy too, Laura, just so you can see.
I was gonna say, one thing we could do too is Bailey, on our team, who is in labor right now, by the way. She puts together a really great template, so she follows every single bill, whether it's germane to tourism or not, and things of interest. Tracking where they are, when they're introduced, committee meetings, action, if they're deferred. So Carmen, why don't we have the two of you, touch base when she gets back from maternity leave, because she's got it down to the science. She did it in the governor's office for the legislative task force, she does it for us, it's so good.
Okay.
Yeah,
Even for examples, so she can.
Yeah.
Before we.
yeah, so that way you really don't have to create the will, because Bailey loves it, she just, yeah.
That would be good. Laura, I'll still send you a copy just so you can see it.
Thank you.
You also did the legislative report.
Report card, that's where I was gonna go, yeah.
Mhm.
Which came in helpful for Ann and I on a project, because we were wondering, how did this legislator, are they a friend, you know, or, so yeah, I mean, I've looked at that a number of times after we sent it out, going, how did they feel about this particular bill? And that might help us going into this next year with, if these bills come back, we know the legislators that were against it or for it, so our approach can change slightly with them based on what we know from the track record, so. Make sense?
I have a question for you. How did the LART, I don't remember who we called ourselves, a committee or a team or what it was, how did that work for you?
How did they perform?
Was it, helpful, or what did you like to see different there? What are your thinkings on that for this year?
I thought it was really helpful. Again, from the start to where we got to ultimately with the shared spreadsheet, which we finally got Michelle into that spreadsheet. I don't know what the deal was, so that we could all see what we were thinking on the spreadsheet per bill when it came up. What I need to do differently this next year is to put more detail into what this bill means, as opposed to the bill number and the name of it, which doesn't always really tell you what's in it. So just maybe a little bit more information to the LARC team. Caleb, Michelle, your thoughts?
Thought that the way we had things laid out by the end of when we had the spreadsheet laid out and we were all adding information and being able to share that in real time, I think that that was really, really helpful. So, I mean, certainly we would want to take any suggestions anybody else has, but I feel like we made some pretty good momentum throughout the process and actually getting to where we were and being able to share all the great information so we could make decisions faster.
I would agree. I thought it went well. I think, by the very nature of that effort, it's reactive. Things happen very quickly and in real time. It'd be great if we got to a point where we could really keep ears to the ground and know what's coming so that we could be prepared and really discuss it with our membership. And I think that will come as we get more sophisticated in our approach to tracking these things. But I think the key is to be able to pivot and move and make decisions in real time really quick. And I think the committee did that.
Yeah, I guess I feel like we made a lot of progress from nothing to where we were at, how fast we were turning. There was a lot of struggles off the start, but I think we got a lot of those handled. So I think it's gonna progress every year of how much more efficient we can be. If, we can have that Excel sheet ready to go at the start, and we can all be, putting our inputs and comments in there, so we have a thought process, like when I go back and look at that, what was my thought the first time or the second time I heard about this, I think we'll get.
Going back to Diana's comments, I think we need to solicit our membership for feedback, ideas. What are they hearing? I mean, it can't just be a group of 5 of us. If there's a proactive effort we should take up, let's, as a group in a meeting such as this, let's talk about those things. What should we be focused on? So that if we actually want to hold the water and do the heavy lifting for some legislative efforts, it comes out of this group.
Diana said I agree.
Okay. Other thoughts?
I would just say that we gotta make sure that team is diverse geographically, background, it has to have, otherwise it doesn't work, but I thought it worked pretty good this year, but I just really wanted to know if it was helpful to you. Is it, what you needed, and if you can just change it in some way.
Now, it was helpful to me because, again, like you just mentioned, making sure that it's diverse enough too. From a historical standpoint, there were different bills that we were looking to you for, saying, okay, what are the thoughts on these? I mean, there's certain things that we don't necessarily touch on. We don't really go into the gaming issue as far as, things with Deadwood and stuff. Ultimately, my opinion is, as we grow and get bigger, we may be getting into things that normally we wouldn't have at this point in time. We may have to expand some of our positions as far as different things that come at us too. So, but at this point, I think we just continue to learn from it, and we keep adding pieces to it that we know. And if people need to get off the LARC team, and we have people that want to be on the LARC team, because it is a time commitment, but we don't want the same people remaining on this committee for their life, because we need people to step up for a lot of things. And so, yeah. And we don't always agree. I mean, we'll tell you that too. We don't always agree on it, and that's okay, because everybody has an opinion of how it's going to affect the industry. So, okay. All right, let's move on to the next slide.
Maybe.
Right, Aaron?
Yeah.
Roundtables. Okay, boy, did those turn into something that I didn't expect. Obviously, the purpose of the roundtables was to bring our congressional leaders here to our state to hear local concerns about the tourism industry, our thoughts, our concerns, that kind of thing. Again, we want to know if you found them valuable. The costs associated with the events. We would have made money if we wanted to run into some issues with protesters. We had to hire security on the Sioux Falls side. And we got to know the Box Elder Police Department very well in Rapid City, and that didn't cost us anything except candy and donuts. But it was a good training experience for them. We had roughly 10 days to market the Rounds event. So we're kind of at the beck and call of their schedulers. So we did not have a great deal of time to promote that. We had 5 weeks to promote the Johnson event. And so obviously, you know, the numbers showed in both of those as far as people showing up. We had people who didn't show up after I sent out the protocol sheet that said it's not an open forum. It is going to be a conversation strictly about tourism. We took some blowback from different people on our social media, some emails and everything about not being allowed to attend the meeting if they were not tourism based. I'm okay with that. You wanna come to our events, become a member, so.
You did have some infiltration.
We had some people that were able to get registered, and I think that happened because of our social media, and so, little tough to control. I thought Tom was gonna go boom, 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 and Terry was gonna go boom, boom, boom with a mic, but, you know, yeah, thank you to our moderators, because, you know, sometimes we had one person that kind of got a little off track at Rapid City too, but not too terribly bad. And these are just my opinions on this. If we're going to do events like this, sponsorships are great, but it's always the same people that are doing sponsorships, and we appreciate you and love you very, very much. But I think we have to charge for these events too if we're gonna have food and beverages. Because we also have expenses that go with, you know, the property and various other things. So as much as we'd like to do free events, I think, you know, going forward in 2026, we have to charge if we're gonna have food, if we're gonna have any kind of costs associated with these events. Time did not allow to get a lot of sponsorships, especially on the Rounds one, you know, so we went to, you know, the groups that we know that do those kind of things, and thank you, Terry Dumps, to the Destination Professional. Thank you very much, that professional group over there. Didn't mean to call you Dumps. And then, you know, I think we had one of the other, well, Black Hills Badlands and Lakes, you know, the properties all gave us discounts. So we listed them as far as sponsors as well too. So we just appreciated everybody's sponsorship. If I missed somebody, I'm sorry. Live Properties, you guys did a great job. The Ramcota did a great job. So yeah, we were really happy with everything that they did. So what are your thoughts on this? Because I think we need to bring these people to South Dakota to talk to us. They were very scripted. The questions were very scripted to keep people on task and help get them to think about asking questions, but the questions took a little too long. So I would next time have more floor time.
I think
as long as we know people are gonna stay on topic.
I think it really helped illustrate to our base that if there's an issue, you need to bring it forward. You can't just assume that everybody knows or that these representatives know what the issues are. So I think it was helpful to bring the message to them, but it also helped illustrate to the rest of the folks that, you know, if there's an issue, you need to bring it forward. It should be apparent, but I think sometimes it's.
But again, you know, it's the first time event that we did. And so hopefully when we do them again, if we do them again, if the board wants me to proceed going forward, making sure that people know that this is their time to stand up and make that comment, you know, or ask a question. And again, that goes back in the toolkit too, as far as how to do it respectfully, you know. Some of the materials that we found in the Sioux Falls one after the event was really sad. I mean, it was because, but we are living in unique political times. So, but the right way to do things, the wrong way to do things. So that'll be in the toolkit as well.
Carmen, did you ask for topics for memberships?
We did, we listed some of it, you know, and that's where some of the comments came from. Kind of threw it past a few people too, going, what would you add to this? And otherwise, the other fears that we keep asking the same question over and over in a different way. And that's not conducive to our leadership's time. So, and we have a lot of topics, you know, it's just not maybe the basic topics that people think about, you know, and I kind of look at like, the Pheasants Forever group, you know, their conversation about conservation, which is very important and it's a part of tourism, but the average person in this room probably wouldn't think about that because that's not the world that you work in. So making sure that we have well-rounded questions as far as what they're dealing with in DC that affects us here. Make sense?
I think there's no question they were effective, and I think we'll have triple the number of people next year. And I think it creates a sense of credibility for the organization to be able to, you know, have these representatives come out and, you know, and talk to our industry. It matters. And I think it's one of the most important things we can do. I think they were fantastic.
I think you're absolutely right. And we were able to get what I consider a very big concern, like in front of Senator Rouse, and that's the National Park Service. I mean, which I think we all rely on so much. I mean, our national parks, they're such an important part of the visitor industry in that, and to make sure that you know, we've got funding and all of that. And I think Senator Rouse heard that loud and clear, and was willing to, you know, take that forward.
And the follow-up, Johnny, you know, the follow-up emails that were sent on a number of different things. Not saying that it was because we did it or another group did it, resulted in reinstatement of certain things. So going back to Casey's point, you know, we all think that they should know everything that pertains to South Dakota, but at the same time, I can't imagine what they get every day. So being able to single it out, be specific about how it's affecting real life businesses, you know, and our tourism industry is very, very important for them to know. So, yeah, and you know, Diana and Johnny and, you know, a lot of other people that were like sending information, you know, to DC makes a big difference, so. But
Caleb's point on credibility too, it's credibility with our members, but it's also credibility with our legislators.
Correct.
We have host events where they can have the ability to speak to their constituents that are well done. I think they'll listen even more.
And I think it's not just the national legislators, it's the state legislators too.
Yeah. So I think they're great events.
well, and I think, as we're talking here too, I'm going, okay. We have a constant education piece with our state legislators. We have to continue to educate them on the importance of this industry. When we do these, I think we send out an automatic invite to them specifically that they need to be at this event to hear what we're doing on a national level that affects us on a state level, so.
Great idea.
And I haven't thought this all the way through, so take this with a grain of salt. I don't know if it's a good idea or a bad one, but the US Travel Association used to do these types of things. I don't know if they still do, but we've invited them out a couple of times, and that might be something to talk about for future roundtables is, do we want to invite a member of the US Travel Association to attend? I wouldn't want them to take over the talking points in that way, but it might be good for them too to hear at the ground level, here's what the issues are that really matter to South Dakota, and we're a huge member of theirs.
Right.
So just something to think about, and maybe it would make sense at one and not the other, depending on what the issues are that we'll be discussing, but just something to throw out there.
That's a great idea. Couple thoughts from me. One, I wouldn't hesitate to make these invite only. I think between our database and your database, and we could get invites to enough tourism industry members. That way we can avoid any of the things that we saw happen.
Right.
In Sioux Falls. So nothing wrong with invite only, something to keep in mind in the future too. I don't know if we need to do these every year. It could be an every other year, but some food for thought too, moving forward is, we certainly could utilize the Thursday luncheon at the tourism conference to invite, one of our delegation in to do the same sort of thing, before a huge captive audience. If we can't get them later in the spring or something, that's always an opportunity there too, so just know that that invitation is there to do that.
And they're kind of eager to have a big audience, aren't they?
Yeah.
Just saying.
Just a little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah, because the other thing I thought is I'm going to have an invite created ahead of time. Because again, if we run into the last minute kind of thing, like with Senator Rounds, we don't have time. I don't wanna be creating that piece of art when all we have to do is drop in dates and location and various other things, so yeah, just some.
And I think US Travel would love to attend, yeah, just as an observer.
I think the other thing too, Conklin, would be that as we continue to do these, and I really think that we should. We talk about the legislators at that level, but I think this is even bigger. Because so often people think tourism is all fun, it's just gonna happen, it's all fun. But let's elevate that to the general public as well. That tourism is doing this and making this statement or a stand or whatever with these leaders of ours that does affect you out in your neighborhood.
Great point.
That's another thing, and I'm gonna jump off of what Terry said and backtrack a little bit to the session stuff. I don't know if there was anything that went out of the gate, I don't remember, so it's not a criticism, but reminding people that going to the local Cracker Barrels, and these are the issues, is definitely helpful. I think a lot of times people think it doesn't matter, or I just don't have time, or it's not important, but just kind of that constant reminder, these people are scheduled for committee next week, get in front of your legislators. So sorry, a little bit backtrack.
No, that makes sense, because the South Dakota Chamber of Commerce, and Industry used to collect all the Cracker Barrel dates. I tried to start that and did not get a whole lot of feedback from people, so I don't know if Ryan Budmeyer is going to continue that or not.
It's a good partnership between retailers.
Because in that way, we know the dates instead of trying to go to everybody's website and get the dates, and stuff, so. But
You could always use the DMOs as your resource.
Yeah, exactly.
Send them, and the meeting are utilized as much as it could be to help some of these efforts.
Okay.
So also keep in mind too, I mean, we focused a lot on our congressional delegation, on legislators, but let's not forget about our mayors, our city councils, our county commissions. I'd love to engage them even more as well.
I think that, because we've dealt with that a little bit in Kingsbury County and Smith, is having some of those facts at people's hands so that they can engage with those people. They know them, they're friends, we see them all the time. Do you understand how important tourism is? Because I didn't realize our county commissioners last year, but no. I mean, at all. They know it happens, but they have no idea about the actual impact of it.
Yeah.
And I think that is figuring out a way to get people to talk with it at the local level is really important.
And we can touch on that when we get to the statewide media blitz.
Fantastic.
Because it might be a good segue from doing the media blitz into doing different town hall meetings a little bit differently.
Yeah.
And that, so.
To emphasizing what you're saying, I mean, I know Nathan, the city leaders just don't understand how much tourism brings to the city. It is unbelievable. They just don't care. It's going to happen no matter what.
Yeah.
I mean, that's their opinion. It's literally, it's gonna happen. You don't need to push. You don't need to do anything. Right.
And you can take the case of Colorado years ago, when they cut the Department of Tourism for the city, because they're gonna come to Colorado, after all, we're Colorado.
Yeah, well, guess what?
Colorado,
30% of their market share.
sure, just went down and took, they go, oh, I guess we do have to advertise.
Yeah.
I wonder if the toolkit could have a little local component to it, like how do you get on an agenda for your county commissioners? What should you bring? How long should it be? You know, just, I didn't get it done this spring, but I want to go in front of the county commissioners with the information that we get from Travel South Dakota on their research about our county. I think it just needs to go right in front of them and say, I'm just here today to give you a recap of what last year was like in our county, and you know, here's some numbers just for you to consider and how many jobs and that kind of stuff. So, but you do need to get on an agenda and understand the process of things, so, right?
That toolkit is getting bigger.
I know. For us, maybe that toolkit, I think will be very nice.
But I mean, in the toolkit, you could have that county by
Yeah,
county.
we could have the link to that county by county so they could pull theirs up.
There's such great information there. And it's really, when you need it, it's there. And so we should be using it and getting it out to members, that resource.
Okay,
And I think the regional associations can help disseminate that information too, and then hopefully lead them back to you to get them more engaged with TCSD.
Because they're a little harder to track now, they don't print the city, can't buy the city directory anymore. It's a much higher fee for an online component, hopefully your city council and mayors are, they changed that this year.
so, okay, anything else on legislative roundtables? Next, yeah,
Oh, nope.
maybe not. Don't be showing anything you don't need to show in the background. Okay, destination capital. I think it took all that. So the purpose of that was to include TCSD, as part of the national conversation. Again, elevating our presence a little bit differently, you know. Again, it's our 30th anniversary, we're rebranded. It's funny that people are still like, okay, who are you? Oh, you're that VIA group. Or the biggest one I get is, oh, you're part of tourism. No, we're not. So, you know, so we still have an identity problem. And so and we will be having that for a while until we get to a point where we have a much larger membership base, that we have actual pieces out there that give us more visibility and such. But, as far as like the destination capital bill that had not been there before, was a great experience. Thank you, Travel South Dakota, for taking me under your wing. You know, interesting meeting other people from other states and hearing what they have to say, even though these are very high level conversations that are taking place, they still trickle down to us. And so, you know, as an association, I think we need to make sure that we stay up to speed on these things. It's not an inexpensive getaway because hotels in DC are not exactly inexpensive, but it was a really good conversation to listen to. And it's interesting as this year progressed from that time, things that I read that made more sense, things that I've seen that we're being affected by now, you know, the Brand USA. I don't know, Jim, if you want to give an update on where that is.
Sure, so Brand USA, of course, is the national DMO, they've been around since 2010, their funding was cut in the One Big Beautiful Bill. Essentially down to $20 million, from which was about a $200 million budget, down to 20 million. So there is a possibility that that money will be restored through the appropriations process. I was visiting with Senator Thune's office up until the very last minute before that bill was voted on. US Travel was working closely. We've been a big beneficiary of Brand USA's marketing, co-op marketing opportunities. They make it so affordable for us to go into so many different markets, whether it be Canada, UK, Germany, France, doesn't matter. Anyway, we've got a big lift here coming up through the appropriations process in the fall to get that funding restored. If not, Brand USA is going to go away, and that has a trickle down effect to us because we need them in order to reach those consumers. Some travel trade, but mainly consumers in those markets, and so Yeah, that's where we're at today, $20 million. Our budget's larger than that.
Right.
And there's not much they can do. They're looking at laying off, I think, about 25 people now, which will really decimate the organization. So much more to come on that. The story isn't over. Senator Thune has always been a huge champion of the USA, as has Senator Rounds and then as has Congressman Johnson. So, but Senator Thune especially. So we'll see what the fall holds for us.
And these are the things that we sign on to, you know, when this was all going on, we were receiving regular communication from the SBA and, you know, we sign on to them, if it's something that, you know, we know impacts us on a local level as well. So, so that was a good conversation to kind of know, and when I saw it, I was like, oh, this came across their desk, we need to support this as far as making the effort to get them the 100 million. So education issues, that kind of thing. So what are your thoughts? I know, Terry, I believe you have gone before. Is that right? Did you go to Destination Capital at one time?
Yes.
Yes. So, yeah. Okay.
I just wanted to ask, Jim, a quick question. I mean, is this, I had no idea that this thing went from 200 to 20. This is my first time hearing about it.
Yeah.
But now, is this something that, your fellow tourism directors, are getting with their
Yeah.
congressional
Yeah.
staff too, so that
People have worked.
kind of, you know, like a groundswell of support, be they Republican, Democrat, whatever.
Yeah, it is not a partisan issue at all, and tourism directors, city leaders at VMOs, so many people were working so hard on this. There were so many phone calls, in-person meetings, letters, text messages. I was texting with John, right, like I said, right up until the very last, and I knew it was not going to pass. And I should also add that the White House is in full support of Brand USA. This is the first time the President Trump actually put full funding for Brand USA in a budget of his. In his previous administration, he didn't really care about Brand USA, but he was very supportive this time around, which gives me some hope that we can restore it in the appropriations process. But yeah, it is such a huge nationwide effort. The thing that I love about Destination Capitol Hill and being able to have Carmen there is, first off, for her to see other states, their tourism advocacy directors who may be there, to learn about these national issues and how they trickle down to South Dakota and affect our industry, whether it be visa wait times or entry processes into the United States or Brand USA. These are all issues we're dealing with in one way, shape, or form, either directly or indirectly. And so, and the educational aspect of it for you and that networking aspect of it for you, I think is absolutely critical. And I like the fact that other states noticed. I had comments this year saying, what's the tourism coalition? This is new, that someone new attending with you, what is it? And for me to be able to explain to my fellow tourism directors and others around the country, even at US Travel, to say, oh, this is a revamped advocacy arm for South Dakota, and I need to keep your eye on it. So they were excited about it.
Terry, your experience when you went.
Well, I just think there's no doubt we need to go. It's exceptional. It gives you time not only with our local South Dakota people, after hours, but which is valuable as well, but just sitting in that room, listening, talking, that part is really valuable. Then you go over to the hill and talk to our people. And we're so lucky because it's, hey, John, and some of the rest of them go, how do you have that relationship? Like Jim can get through to any of them at any time. And most states don't have that, I don't think. Just to be there, the one-on-one, I don't know, it's just really good. It's just very good. If there's any way for you to keep going, I think you absolutely should.
And what I love too is when Terry's been able to attend with us, she's had conflicts in recent years that, John or Mike or Dusty will say, hey, Terry, tell me about tell me about the airport, what's going on at the airport, or what's going on at the convention center? So we're not only talking about national issues, of course, we're bringing it down to local issues too, that are kind of hot topic or emerging issues, so, we're able to cover the gamut.
And we're probably very lucky that our congressional delegation is so amenable to having us there. I mean, I did those things several times with Diana and the Model Air Force Society when I was down there. And I mean, we got lots of good things.
Yes.
Comments from our Zoom section? No?
No.
Okay, well, we're gonna budget it, so like I said, just wanna make sure that everybody's aware, you know, where our money went this year.
I have a question, and I don't think it's anywhere else in the agenda, but, is there any sort of, association of the other advocacy groups across the nation? Is there any kind of network that Carmen might be able to plug into to?
There was.
Yeah.
There's before COVID.
There used to be, yeah, Wanda, you explain it kind of.
Yeah.
What you're.
So there used to be, it was called STAN, it was the State Travel Advocacy Network. And they got together at places like Destination Capitol Hill, at ESTO, which is a big conference that a lot of state tourism departments go to. And then they do Zoom meetings throughout the year, and that was exactly what you're asking about. It was that network of advocacy organizations. And because VIA wasn't as organized as it is now, I attended those meetings on our state's behalf, and it was just really great to hear those issues from across the country. And how similar we truly are, even if, you know, it might be someone from Alaska talking about their funding, and they were asking me questions on, well, how does your tourism promotion tax work? And how can we replicate that here, or talking about other issues down in the South that you might not think we would relate to, but it was just a great way to network with those folks and get some great contacts across the country that you could then go back to and ask questions of. I've asked US Travel Association a couple of different times, you know, is that something you're gonna bring back? It was really valuable for us. I know it's valuable to other states. And they have said a couple of times, you know, yes, we're looking at it, but it hasn't come back yet. So I think we'll just continue asking those questions and pushing for it. Because I'd love for Carmen to be able to meet those folks too and be a part of that network.
Where do those people go to ESTO?
You know, I've been out of it, the STAN group now for a while, so I don't even know who those people are anymore. I think there are some that do, but without that STAN network meeting there, I don't know that they.
It wouldn't be specific.
Yeah, I think probably more of them go to DCH, Destination Capitol Hill.
Does US Travel get any federal? It's all done for sure.
Yeah. And it's hard, US Travel has had a complete turnover in their team. There's maybe 3 or 4 from Roger Dow's term as CEO, but it's been a complete turnover of the 45 to 50 team members that they have. So yeah, we're sort of feeling like we're re-educating them on like Stan was so valuable, and it just, so hopefully we get that done.
Any other thoughts? No? Okay. The state PR and media blitz from Crazy Land. Again, this was the last of the programs after the rest of the things that were going on. Purpose was to raise awareness for us and our name and our brand and the impact of tourism across the entire state, county by county. 13 communities were visited with over 40 interviews that were conducted between newspaper and radio. Small socials were held in Watertown, Aberdeen, and Chamberlain, because that's where I overnighted. And so the road trip took kind of a unique turn by the time I got to the Deadwood area. I misjudged my timing as far as how long it would take me to get from Pier after my events there to Sturgis. And then, you know, we also had a little bit of, I don't want to call it a conflict, but there was a big event going on in Rapid City at that time. So, you know, trying to have people come with us to interviews was a little bit different. Plus, I didn't have a real good media contact list, and that's my fault. Because when I asked LNS to give me their list, they gave me their list that's mainly their advertising list, not their news list. So, it took a little bit longer to find the people that I needed to talk to from that particular list, as far as who the news people were. Media's changed, my goodness, there's been a whole lot of consolidation that has happened, especially with radio stations. You know, you can meet with one radio station and cover 10 different markets. So that was interesting. 5 days to get this all done was a little insane, but, it was fun to meet with with the different media groups, because with the exception of maybe 2, they were very engaged. They were like, wow, those are some great numbers, you know, that are coming in for this tiny little county that most people would think doesn't have any kind of tourism impact, kind of going back to what you were saying, Ann. Doing it during NTTW doesn't really make sense, because your stuff is hitting after NTTW. So starting it the week before may be a better idea, because then it's hitting when all the media is really working on NTTW and all the states' efforts and all of your efforts as well. The socials, you know, they were last minute. And again, I blame myself on this, because I was very indecisive of, do we do it, do we not do it? Caitlin and I were going back and forth, and she's like, do you really want to do that? I'm like, it's an opportunity to get in front of towns that I don't get in front of, you know. We had legislators at each one of them. So from that perspective, it was good. I mean, Watertown was not a real big group, but it was a good group. You had 2 legislators there. It was good to get in front of the Goss, you know, and the people that were there. Connie, you were there too. It was kind of last minute. I know in one of the comments was, I didn't hear about it soon enough to get to the event. Again, we were running out of daylight on a lot of different things.
That was mine, 'cause I
Was
didn't
it-
go to the event.
That's right.
I didn't know about.
You gave me a lot of good information, Rosie. I'm not taking that anyway.
I'm sending out an invite to my board at that time, or just people in town.
Right.
A little more challenging, because you were in Aberdeen too, but.
Yeah, we had a good crowd in Aberdeen. We had 5 legislators in Aberdeen, and 3 of them were in leadership position. So it was a very good group to have at that particular event. I think Chamberlain was just thrilled to have somebody come to Chamberlain, to be honest with you, you know, so, the socials, like I said, were not well attended. However, again, last minute, that kind of stuff. Didn't have time to find sponsors for it, so, you know, we did end up spending in 5 days, you know, almost $2,000 for those particular events, which would change if we do it again, if you guys want me to do it again. But, I am pretty certain that most of those interviews resulted in, stories. I don't have a tracker to know who all printed it and stuff, but, probably the most fun one was in Pierre. We had 4 different interviews, just back to back to back to back. And, they were really good. And I don't know if anybody saw or heard anything in Pierre. Jim, Wanda, did you guys hear anything from our interviews? I mean, they were really good. We had to kick them out because they were like wanting to talk more, which is a good problem to have. But, Laura, thank you. I mean, we only had 1 in Brookings. Terry and I had 1 in Sioux Falls, because we didn't do any TV stations either, so. Part of it too is the hook. What is the hook to get them to want to talk to us? And it was the county by county numbers this year. So that was a good hook for us to use, because like I said, a lot of them were like, wow, we'd get interviews in Mitchell as well. So, but I would do it in reverse next year as well. I would start a week earlier, and I would start, for purely selfish reasons, I would start in the western part of the state so I could end up closer to home by the time it's over. So, but, those are just my thoughts on the media blitz. I thought, for as crazy as it was, I thought it was a really good experience, and, I slept for 5 days afterwards, so, anyway, thoughts, comments?
Do you normally team up with either the CDB chamber director or a
Yes.
faction owner?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the general idea.
If you plan further in advance, could you lean on them a little bit more to
Oh,
have
absolutely.
them
Yeah.
put the event together, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
you're kind of the feature?
Yep.
Would it,
Sorry.
would it make any sense to reach out to, there's two that I'm aware of, there's two independent news sources in the state of South Dakota, Searchlight and Newswatch. And their stories and articles, typically, if they're good, they get picked up by, I know many of the articles in the Rapid City Journal, will be like a Newswatch story, for instance, and to reach out to them, I mean, like with the Newswatch people, I mean, I know them fairly well. I mean, Jack Marsh, from Sioux Falls here, and Carson and so on.
Yeah, they need to be added to the list, because they weren't originally on the list. The artist later didn't call us back. I mean, we left messages and phone calls and never heard anything back from them.
Scout.
Sorry?
I know you did the Watertown local.
Yeah, the Watertown one.
Scout.
No, we did not. And that one was, the South Dakota Newspaper Association is the one that said, you should talk to these people, so.
I was gonna ask if you contacted them, because they,
Yeah, because I know you did the current.
the newspaper association, they have good.
Yeah, we did talk to John.
What was your goal? Do you think you reached your goal with this, or what would your goal be? Is it just exposure, or is it?
Total exposure.
Okay.
You know, because we were able to talk about who we were, it's our 30th anniversary, you know. Free press, basically, is what, you know, what we received, plus the information that Travel South Dakota gave us as far as the impact. So, you know, the goal was basically get in front of as many as you could.
Did you
Don't know what the impressions are though. No tracking, sorry.
Did you do a press release about the general, like what you were gonna do beforehand, so that, you know, they're gonna put in front of media and?
It went to who we were gonna interview. It did not go out as a blanket press release, okay? Again, not knowing, are we gonna get flooded? Or, again, first year. And no, I'm not taking it as criticism. There's just a lot of things that can be done differently.
How many interviews is a lot?
Yeah, that's a lot.
In 1 week?
In 5 days. So, and there were places that we missed. We missed some of these small newspapers that we could have been in that carry a lot of local weight, you know, that, like the Freeman Courier, you know, the Hurley, whatever. So stuff like that will be done differently next year.
That was gonna be my recommendation, start early, get a hold of some of the weeklies, the ones you can't get all of them, but the ones that strategically make sense, whether there's some education or incredible numbers or whatever it is, or maybe there's some legislators that need to be a little bit more influenced. Be very strategic, because the great thing about weeklies, they will pick up pretty much anything.
Anything.
Anything. They have already data.
They need a little lead time though.
Yeah.
I mean,
And if you're gonna go the week before, I mean, you can split it up for 2 weeks.
But that would be the general idea.
Yeah, yeah.
well, maybe you do it your weeklies, right, you know, media type that you're getting too,
Right.
get your print out first so they can get ready for it, and then it hits, and then you're doing your radio and your TV if you do it, you know.
Well, I just like I said, the idea was not to have whatever event inundated by other people, the political side of things. I mean, was that one of the reasons you did it closer in, is a little more worried about, are you gonna get people that are not tourists, people that wanna talk about things in a negative perspective, I guess, is what I'm looking
I
at.
wanna make sure.
I don't think you had anybody at the Watertown one like that, but just questioning why our tourism dollars being spent, why, you know, it's not a senator there, but if you were out 2 weeks in advance, could that happen? I don't know, probably
I
not.
wasn't worried about that, I don't think.
I don't think,
What I was worried about was, while I was traveling, people calling me and wanting to do interviews while I had back interviews, and not necessarily being able to talk with them. But starting it sooner, like being like 3-4 weeks out with the smaller communities that you can do the smaller print media on. And just have those stories sent to them with a published date of, you know, National Travel and Tourism Week, or it could work the week before. And then also, you know, having other conversations along the way that aren't necessarily interviews, but meeting with people that have, how do I say this, a big base You know, whether,
Influence.
yeah, so like Black Hills Badlands and Lakes, I'll talk about Michelle for a minute, you know, because the lit swap is happening, you know, during that time. So is there a way to pull this into the conversation with Michelle's group saying, adding value to her event? Not that she needs me, she has a big enough event the way it is, but, you know, what we're trying to accomplish here and getting out in front of her membership as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So,
Carmen,
yeah,
why, let's talk at some point and I'll set up lunches with Jack Marsh
okay,
and with the Dakota.
that'd be great.
So guys.
Yeah.
They're great to work with,
Okay,
so.
yeah, I appreciate that. Okay,
I also wonder about some of the statewide podcasts and stuff that are out there, and maybe it's not you do everything every year, but you know, that's something that can be done in advance and then drop.
true, yeah. Never even thought about that.
Wonder if it would be valuable at all, if you get like at some of these, like the regional organizations' annual meetings. To try to get ask if you can have a 5 or 10 minute, just a little briefing, because I mean, at least our one in, at Black Hills Badlands, I mean, we get a pretty darn fair turnout for that. And,
She was at our.
I was at Rosie's, I was at Casey's. Both of them gave me a little platform to work on, so yes, good idea, John.
Yeah.
Just, and I was at, Alyssa, thank you. Alyssa's, one as well, but hers was more of I was involved in the tour that they did. We didn't have a speaking piece, but yeah. But Michelle and I are gonna do some other stuff together, and we'll get to that a little bit later here in the program. Michelle, your thoughts?
She's gotta take it off mute.
Yeah.
Had to get off mute. I think that it makes a lot of sense to do a media blitz. I wonder if it gets to be a lot, if it would make sense to even do the west side one year and east on another year. I think getting out and talking about TCSD any way that we can, tying it in with the importance of tourism is great. Johnny's recommendation of coming to annual meetings is great. We just, I don't know why, I think you weren't even able to attend ours if I remember correctly, but we could
Yeah,
serve.
I wasn't, nope. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else?
Maybe just in all of your free time, you know, all. Create the relationships with the certain media in as many areas as possible, so that when it comes time for something that you really want out there, or NTDW or whatever, you can pick up the phone and say, hey, this is what I was talking to you about, we had lunch, you know, in July.
That's a good idea.
Kind of thing. Again, in all your free time.
Yeah.
But something to think about.
Carmen, we'll help you with some TV broadcasters too. Jack Cottle is always really good. Anytime we reach out to him, he's willing to put us on. KNPN, KOTA, Dakota News Now is really good. They're always
Yeah.
wanting us on. Same for you, Terry. They're so good about it.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, that gentleman from Callow, he's called me a couple of times since, so.
Good, good.
Yeah, he
Good.
was very engaged, so,
Good.
all good.
yeah, so much of this just takes time.
It does,
Yeah,
and, you know, we're laying the foundation.
I think you're making some groundwork and stuff, and it just, you know, it's good, it's excellent.
Cool, thank you. Okay. And we keep coming back to this one here. So I think this is gonna grow a little bit bigger and bigger than what we originally had considered. Obviously, the purpose is to build communities and businesses to their ability to effectively advocate on their behalf, as well as supporting our efforts. So it's a larger collective voice. And Bailey and I had met earlier because we knew that she was going to be indisposed here in July. So Yeah, I think we got a good foundation. I found some examples of other legislative toolkits that are out there in other states, so, we've got some good information as far as how we can put ours together. And, I do have a deadline on this so that we make it by the annual meeting, and then Casey's also forcing my deadline because we're gonna have a webinar on it, that Southeast South Dakota is gonna be doing. So that'll be our first trial run. If that works really well, we'll reach out to the rest of the regional offices and say, hey, you wanna do one as well? Or maybe we record it and we throw it on our, on our website for our membership section. So just, the stuff that we wanna include is the basics, as well as the contact information, like you said, and the districts and various other things. And do you know who your legislator is, why it's important? One of the most concerning things that I hear when I'm out and about in smaller communities is my board will not let us advocate. They will not let us take a position. And I'm like, that is a bad position to take. Because if you are not taking a position, somebody's gonna make that decision for you. And so, educating people on the why is incredibly important. How to communicate with your legislators, so templates, samples, that kind of thing. Know your elevator pitch. You only have so much time with these people, and sometimes you're running down the marble staircase in Pier trying to get your pitch to them in a very short amount of time. So I like everything that I've been hearing as far as ideas for this toolkit out there. The October 7th meeting, we'll touch on that a little bit more, a few slides in here, but trying to do different things to educate people on the importance of advocacy and why. And that just leads into memberships too. Because if they don't understand the importance of what we're doing, they're not going to understand the importance of our organization. So, thoughts?
One thing
I've
I
already had great conversations with them.
thought of when you said you're going to member only for your social platforms. Or, with just the TCSD membership, but is there a need to have a public facing one to get messages out to our
Yes,
residents?
we have both.
Oh, gotcha,
We have a public facing one right now.
perfect. So
But
you're
I
just
think we need
adding
a private one, which is more specific towards membership only things.
Gotcha.
Not to say they can't share it, we know how that goes, but.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yep.
Okay. What would you guys like to see? Take the person who knows the least amount of advocacy that you've ever met. What should they have besides the basics? Not everybody can be Johnny B.
I don't know if there's, maybe it's the templates and stuff, but sometimes I think when people speak to legislators that are not clear or decisive, right, it gets a little like, messaging isn't clear, so just how to speak clearly, like you said with your elevator pitch, know what you're trying to say. Practice it first, or have a conversation about it first, so you really can, just to emphasize that part of it. Because it's easy to, like you said, let that one pass, and it's really important.
Yeah, it's kind of like giving a speech.
Yeah.
You gotta tell them,
Yeah.
you're gonna tell them,
Yeah.
and then tell them what you told them, you gotta.
Well, kind of like a
Focus
practice,
on
it's kind of like a
yourself.
practice interview because they're gonna ask you questions back, so then you need to know how to answer those questions.
And don't be scared to talk to them, that's the whole thing.
Well, don't be scared to not have the answer.
Well, yeah,
They
that's
ask you
true.
questions too.
But to give people a bit of confidence somehow in what we present the legislative toolkit, I think is part of the goal. So you feel confident.
You've gotta have that relationship with those people, I think, more than just, hey, I need to talk to you about this bill. I mean, make it get to the point where you call them by name and say, hey, how you doing, wanna have lunch tomorrow, whatever, just. So you know them on a personal basis, that makes it a lot easier to ask them, for help. That basically that's what we're asking them for, help us. And in all that, somehow you weave in the story of tourism, so they understand how important it is and what we all do. And yet you're creating a relationship, a professional friendship that you can go back to. It just seems like that education piece with those people it never ends.
No, it's.
It never ends.
You know, along those lines, I think it would be helpful to put an annual timeline together. I mean, that maybe it starts not during the legislative session, but it starts on April first, and you say, or when you know when the state is releasing the county numbers. You schedule and you say, okay, in April, you schedule a sit down with your legislators to talk through the county numbers and emphasize that, and then, you know. Maybe you have coffee with your legislators in July, just to touch base, and so you are building that relationship. And then maybe leading up to election time, if it happens to be an election year, you sit down with them again and say, wow, these are the important issues that we are thinking of, what do you think of them? And then by that time, you have 4 points of contact before the legislative session even starts. So that when the time comes and you have a bill, you have already established that relationship. But I think saying establish a relationship is great, but I think a little bit more specifically, how do you establish that relationship might be helpful.
So you're suggesting like a sample template plan
Like a timeline.
for
Here's some
touch points for your legislators.
Yep.
Both state and local, however they want to use it.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
One thing too is that their time is precious. They get invited to lots of stuff, right? In DeSmet, we have a semi-annual community meeting at 7 a.m. in the morning. And in December, it's pretty dark and cold outside, but we get at least 2, if not 3 of our legislators to come every single time. It lasts about an hour and a half, and it is a rundown of what's going on in DeSmet. And we invite people, usually there's, I don't know, 40 to 60 people that come to it, which is pretty good. It's for a small population. Yeah. So if you're gonna invite them to something, make it worth their time. Get a lot of. It's a little bit to the relationship, but it allows a lot of people to start building that relationship. And in some ways, it allows you to start building a relationship with communities and industries, right? It's not just a one-on-one, which is important, but, you know, be respectful of their time and make it efficient. Get a lot of good information in front of them, so.
And make sure the legislators get every media draw that an organization does. They may look at it and breeze through it and drop it, but the name is there. It's just constantly tourism coalition, tourism coalition.
It's a very good point.
We try to do that with the county commissioners, which. Well, 2 counties are in town and, one of them I have a direct contact with, and I'm telling you. They just don't know and they don't care because they say, well, that's up to the city, take care of that. No, this is Lincoln County and Minnehaha County, and boy, but it's just, we just keep stuffing it down.
And then how about a section about how to deal with legislators who just totally don't agree with you?
Or don't. Or whatever. Yeah.
Just keep the relationship, keep being nice, take the high road and provide them with information and hopefully someday there'll be some nugget.
Yep.
That they will say, okay,
Oh, yeah.
It can be a long day, you're right.
Well, I'm excited to get started on a little bit.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. I mean, but, and again, stuff can be added to it all the time. That's not, you know, an issue as far as it never be electronic. So it's like, yeah, I mean, and if you think of more things, you know, just send me an email about them as well. So you'll probably be driving home today, go, oh, should have said this. Anybody online? Comments?
Nothing in there.
Nothing in there? Okay. Oh, yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow. Annual fundraiser. This came up at the last board meeting. We need to do a fundraiser. So, because we need to raise PAC funds, and, you know, obviously operational funds. And so, let's see, I think it was Caleb, Johnny, and Gwen said golf tournament. So you're the official committee, whether you know it or not. So yes, so we put all the stuff together and I have, if you would like to pass this, one to everybody around, I think I have enough. We are doing a annual, what we hope to be an annual fundraiser, will probably be in West River this year, and then next year in Sioux Falls, so we'll probably bounce back and forth. It will be at Red Rock on September 26th. That is a Friday. 4-person scramble, 1-putt rule. It's a fun tournament. You don't have to be a professional golfer. We may annoy some of your better golfers. Sorry, Tom, I'll apologize in advance, but there may be some really bad golfers out there. Yes.
You know, that's, roundup there.
It is roundup weekend, unfortunately, yes. So we know that that's going to impact, some people, so, and I take it you guys are probably both working roundup. Sorry.
So like, something on the festival looks.
So, know it that it's also intended to be a membership recruitment piece as well. So if you can't be there, but you have people that you think should be members, consider sponsoring a team. If you can't get your own staff to go, or, be looking outside the norm, guys, as far as attendees, because in order for us to make the fundraising goal of between 15 to 18,000, we need 144 golfers, and we need to sell all of our sponsorships. So we are doing sponsorships for everything and anything, golfers. The live auction piece is going to be our PAC funding mechanism, because we kind of have to keep the two slightly separate. But we are looking for very unique auction items that have a very high value. So just for example, one that I secured the other day was 605 Magazine is going to give us their 605 hideaway for 2 days. There may be some other stuff that goes with that, so that would be like a value of close to $800. Looking for unique things that people would normally not do, or have an opportunity to do. So like, for example, the Scovin House that does wonderful food. Could we get them to donate a private meal for that kind of thing? So that with the live auction piece, we have something totally different than what like we do with baskets and smaller gifts and stuff. The South Dakota Beer Distributors is looking at doing a golf bag with a Yeti cooler and a bunch of beer. So, just fun stuff that, we think people will bid on and have a good time at the event. We want to invite legislators, we want to invite elected officials that need to hear our story. We want to invite non-members so that, again, it's a recruitment piece so that they can hear a little bit more about our story. So, we'll have a PowerPoint that will be running during the time that talks about what we do and the importance of what we do. So, yes, we need help with this because doing a golf tournament is a lot of work, especially from a distance. So I know it's gonna conflict with different things, but if you guys can help us spread the word from social media to whatever else, get it out there, share our message and stuff. And we put it online now, so you can sign up for any of these things online, pay for it with a credit card, or we can invoice you like certain people like to be invoiced. So, you have 2 different mechanisms that you can work with them, so.
Did you get a room block or a room code?
I have all the rooms right here, Live Hospitality, thank you, Caleb, your girls are great. I have 4 hotels that have different room rates. So I have to put it together in an email though, where it's understandable, it's pretty like this.
What do you need, like, help with? Is like, how many volunteers or people is it gonna take? What's the?
We take a lot of volunteers, and probably about 5 volunteers actually. But, we need people to help us get people registered for different things. Helping us find sponsors, helping us find live auction items, that kind of stuff. So that's, if every board member got 1 live auction. We
can give away and sell.
Well, I'm thinking with you, a 2-night stay at the resort, a sailboat ride at midnight with champagne.
Yes.
Champagne and lobster, I don't know. Think outside your normal box as far as what would be such a unique experience in the state of South Dakota that you never thought you could have, that you could bid on. I guess.
Well, and all the live auctions, I think could be come up with some really incredible ideas. I think the other thing would be is to get people there to bid up. That's right, because I'm assuming that 15,000, 18,000 is your biddable dollars.
Those are your golfers,
Yeah.
100 for golfers, so.
So that's separate from the live auction fundraiser.
Yes.
Is it? Okay,
Well, no, that's the total goal as far as
okay,
raising money.
okay.
I'm anticipating anywhere from seven to 10,000 of that being pack money. Okay,
Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
So the masterminds of this, do they have comments and?
Gail stepped away, so.
No,
okay.
It's here.
One is not on, so.
So, I guess, you know, for us on Wednesday, Thursday.
Caleb, do you wanna chime in? He's saying you're not here.
He stepped away,
He's right there.
maybe he's still there.
I lied to you, Mike. Sorry, I'm still here. Another 2 minutes. Sorry, what was the question? I had a hard time hearing it.
And what was the question?
I was just wondering if you have input since, you know, it's your idea or you and Gwen and is it Johnny's idea? What you guys are thinking or?
What your thoughts are, what input you have, what you're planning on, what you need help with, any of it, any of the above.
Well, I didn't know I was working this, but
You by default were put on the committee.
so we do a fundraising golf tournament at Red Rocks every year as well with our Live to Good Foundation. So we have some insight into kind of how these things run. So I'm happy to consult with Carmen and help however we can. Obviously with recruitment. How many total players are we expecting or have room for? Is it 144? Carmen?
144, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Help me find. If you
It
guys
can be
help
a
find-
very effective fundraising effort and you know, people like to golf.
If you guys can help me find, the top 2 tier sponsorships, like a bank or somebody in Rapid City, that would be really helpful.
What are the levels?
They are on that sheet. So the top level is $2,500 main attraction sponsor. And then the $1,200 passport sponsor. So if you guys know of anybody that you can like do a warm intro for me so I can go talk to them about it, that'd be great. Or if you want to go with me, I'm gonna be out there August 9th. I just don't want to wait too long to get these things secured because we have marketing materials we have to put together, signage, that kind of thing, so. From the sponsorship side of things.
With being the day of the roundup, does the timing work with like a post roundup? I mean,
The roundup's happening on Friday.
and this
guys.
is Friday. No,
Friday, the 26th, it kicks off.
and that's,
So, is that the actual day of the roundup? It is, right?
yeah.
So,
Is it too late? I mean, they're just throwing it out there. Is it too late to change this date?
that's the only date they had available.
Does it have to be Red Rock or it'd be?
We've already secured place for the deposit and everything, so, yeah. I know,
So I
after,
got something on Thursday, then is what you're saying?
Hmm?
That Thursday, Friday.
they actually made an exception for us for this Friday event. Because normally they don't like to do special events on Fridays because of their membership. So,
I'm just thinking of people, if we're gonna go with roundup, but could come in a day prior and do the Thursday, go. They probably don't have any availability on Thursday, but like his question said, is there another date? Could they do a Thursday? And then you're overlapping the roundup a little bit? Is that an idea? I'm just throwing out the idea. Not saying it's the right thing to do or possible, I'm just.
let me ask this. I know you guys are impacted because of what you do at Custer State Park. Correct? I know the Fishing Parks is obviously affected because it's the Rona and the park. How many other businesses are going to be impacted by this date of the Rona?
Southern Hills. Busy weekend, got the Arts Festival, I believe it's Volks March
That's on Sunday.
on Sunday, so I mean, it's a big weekend.
Diana says she'll be on a horse that day.
I don't think the arts festival starts till Saturday though.
No,
does it?
the arts festival starts Thursday,
Thursday?
Friday, Saturday.
Okay, so maybe Thursday won't work either. It's just,
Yeah.
everybody's wrong, so.
Caleb, you wanna flip dates with us?
Yeah.
We'll take your date.
Yeah.
So. I feel like it's a little late to try to change the date. And since we've already done the deposit and everything. So. And that's a problem, we wait till late in the year to do an event.
Yeah, this is probably about as late as you're gonna want to go.
Yeah, because we get too late, it'll get dark too fast. In fact, we'll already be pushing dark by 5 o'clock out there, so.
You think with all the other things that have been thrown up going on at the same time, is that gonna make it really tough to make this thing successful?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either, but. Yikes.
It'd be like asking people in Yankton if Riverboat Days would affect a golf tournament.
Yeah.
It won't to some people, because they won't go to that event. But if you're talking the industry and they're busy, that's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
So. I
You
don't
know, Carmen, I think you can play it by ear to a certain extent. I mean, there are those organizations that try to set these up and they're, for whatever reason, as less successful than they wanted them to be, and they just say, you know what, at the end of the day, nobody's gonna remember next year that this canceled this year. So if that happens, it's, you know, it's August 15th or August 30th. You say, you know what, there's just not enough, there's not enough interest in this year. You can do it without any fear of reprisals moving forward or anything.
And I think, yeah, I think you're right, Tom, because I think, you know, it got put out in the newsletter, which came out right before the 4th of July. To be honest with you, I don't even know how many people, you know, read my 4th of July, my newsletter, because it came out right before. So, okay, thank you. I appreciate that side of the room.
That's sign up.
We have 2 sponsorships sold. We have a team, the Rapid City Sports Authority, so signed up a
Yeah.
team already. Myself, but like I said, I haven't sent a specific email out. I think that'll help once I send out a very specific email about it.
These things are more the merrier too.
But
People around having your thing, event, or here's this event going on, you go to this, it's another reason to stay around for the Bolts Rush or something, you know what I mean, so.
what, that's the whole idea behind that Friday thing, is to get them to come into town and stay with their family, you know, for the weekend as well. But if there's other activities going on, that can help too, possibly, as opposed to maybe hinder, but we'll play it by ear. Yeah, because if we aren't seeing the numbers, we can't afford to do it, because we're still gonna have an expense.
Yeah.
That if we can't make any money on it, it doesn't make any sense to move forward with it, but.
What's Red Rock charging you per person?
I'm sorry, what?
What's Red Rock charging you per person?
They are charging us $74.50 per golfer. And that includes the cart, the golf, 18 holes of golf, practice balls.
Wow.
So
That's pretty.
that's a pretty decent deal.
What was your down payment?
It was just $250.
So you had it along the way, it's
Yeah.
I would assume that you're not gonna have to, and like, always have in the back of your mind that
Yeah.
push comes to
if
shove,
we had to.
you've got to alternative.
I mean, all of our projections are based on 144 golfers and full sponsorship, so.
Yeah,
If you only get 20, then. You gotta follow.
it's to be honest, it's a fairly, you know, having to get, that many teams is a lot. That's 2 teams per hole. It's 8 golfers, per hole, that's enough teams.
And you can probably make it work with 72 to 100.
Yeah, and then the rate will go up.
Yeah.
The golfing rate.
So if you could get enough teams to fill every tee box, you could still pull this off successfully. So if you had 18 teams, you could still make it go with it. You wouldn't, your fundraising goal would certainly be diminished, but you could still make it go with it.
Maybe not, I mean, you get the right 8 people, wondering to go if we work, so.
Oh, yeah, well, it could, just saying that.
Or you get, yeah, enough live auction stuff or whatever.
Is there any way to make the auction items? And I can't remember what the name of it is.
Yeah.
Lake Area Tech has it where you can bid on auction items on your phone on an app.
Mhm.
Is there any way that some of those could give people who can't be there the opportunity to bid?
Good.
Do you have an auction? Do you have an auction here? Yeah.
A live auctioneer is fun. In my experience, when I used to do these with chamber. You don't have a live auctioneer, you don't have as much money raised. You have a live auctioneer and a crowd that's there, you tend to make a lot.
And for the most part, you're better off to have somebody that knows everybody. Cause then they can play Johnny B against Secretary.
Yeah, they can bump the bid on Johnny.
Yeah, I mean, if they know somebody, they're not a special license, but I like the online auction idea, the Watertown Shamrocks did that. You could bid.
Or maybe we separate it and we do
A few.
some online, so we do some online, some not.
So there's a bunch of. Like I watch auctions all the time, right? They have online and in person, I can't remember, there's 2 auction sites out of Rapid that do online and in person. And maybe you can work out a deal with them or something.
Okay.
Where they could, you know, because it's not gonna be a big auction for them, right? It's-
Right. What's kind of like what they used us to do, Kramer, yeah.
Kramer.
Yeah, I mean, give me the contact line.
I don't know, if you want to learn from Shannon, do you know? I mean, Bruce, could you like a few items or something? Yeah, I don't remember any of the website. I mean, and yeah, some can tell where it's supposed to, but yeah.
And again, if every board member, if every board member could just help secure one team and one sponsorship,
And one
we can make it
and
happen.
auction item.
We can, I mean, and one option.
Triple play.
Okay, so yeah, 3 things you need to do, but, and some may be easier than others too, you know, I don't know, but,
My golfer contacts are not very easy to determine. I'm gonna fall back.
I mean, I can actually, I mean, I've already got a lot of things out of the works as far as the auction items.
Do you know, like, Thomas, do you know what you gotta get to for golfers?
Well, we were just talking, you know, if we can get the sponsorship sold and we can have 18 teams, yeah, I mean, we can still make money.
Is the awards and the live auction only for people that are attending the fundraiser, or is that open?
They wouldn't have to be. I mean, we could invite people, if after the roundup, people wanna come to the golf course, you know. Because the roundup happens in the morning, but then there's activities taking place. I haven't been to the roundup in years, so I don't know what goes on anymore. But, I know you guys are busy the whole time and stuff. But are there events going on in the evening or late afternoon, other than what's happening in the park?
No, in the arts festival is not supposed to 7 o'clock that night, though, but it's open all day.
Okay, yeah. So I know from the standpoint of you guys working it, you know, it wouldn't work for you, but if people were going to attend it for any other purpose other than to attend it, they can still make us like a social or something at the end of the day.
You know, Carmen, this might all be moved.
It might be, I might be. So,
Completely irrelevant. I mean,
Yeah.
The people that go to the roundup may be a completely different demographic than you're looking for.
I would think, I mean, if from past experience, again, if we can get 128 golfers at a Yankton tournament, I can't imagine that we can't get 144 from across the state.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm being a Pollyanna, I don't know, but anyway.
You said
But, yeah.
there's room blocks, or was the?
Yeah, the Live Hospitality Group with their hotels, just because it's a straight shot to go to the golf course from there
Okay.
as a block of room rates.
That'll be important, because I think people think roundup is it's busy and no one knows that.
So wait till the last minute, and that email will go out with the rest of the information as far as the tournament, so. We'll move forward with it, we'll see what happens.
But of our membership, do you know how many are in, obviously there's more members in Black Hills coalition members than there are on the east side of the state?
You know, it's kind of split, it's kind of. all over the
Those,
place.
the ones that live there might be easier sell. I'm just saying during this time of year, they're on the northern side of the hills especially.
And the idea is if everybody brings somebody who's not a member, or brings somebody that, yeah,
Like corporations and so forth.
somebody bring Black Hills Fiber, Black Hills Federal Credit Union, somebody bring First Premier, somebody bring, you know, different groups, so.
Barbara, I just think we've worked really hard over the next 30 to 45 days.
And push it, yeah.
We can do.
Yep,
And
that's the best we can
figure
do.
it out, yep.
Yep.
Great.
Okay.
It's a great fund. I mean, if we could raise 50 to 18,000 bucks, I mean, that's a huge grip for us.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
Okay, we'll keep moving, cause I know we're out of time. New business, just to give you guys all a real quick update, go to the website, because there's a lot, thank you, Tom. There's a lot of stuff that's been added to the website, and we've got the membership roster, but we'll make more changes and everything. I have negotiated an hourly rate with McQuillan to do our updates, just because I don't have time to do the updates, and I'm not a webmaster. So they've been fixing broken links, the board member piece is activated, the events piece is activated. So they will keep things up to date for us. Our board packets are all on there, all of our videos are on there as well, so. Completed, we are using Zeppi for our memberships, and that was recommended by McQuillan. Because Zeppi does it a little bit different, they don't do a charge to us when you pay by a credit card. But they do kind of ask for like a tip, and I know there's tip fatigue out there, but you don't have to do it, and you can do a different amount than what they're suggesting, because that's how they make it free across their base for nonprofits. And we actually qualified as a C6, which I was totally surprised by. It also gives you the ability to take payments through our events and everything else, which has been something we've heard from people going, if I want to pay my membership online by credit card, why can't you do that? We can't do it because we don't own our QuickBooks Online. Creed Bookkeeping owns it. We get a better deal with it. We would have to probably more than double our payment of what we do with QuickBooks in order to do that. So we are trying this. Doesn't mean we're gonna stick with it, but we're trying it. It's pretty decent from a creative side for me, and it's pretty decent from a ease of use. Casey, you used it when you did the sponsorship piece. You got a receipt back that said that you did this online payment. I got a notice that said she did it. 5 days later, I have a deposit in our bank account. So, so far so good. And we had to do a few updates on it to manually take Mike's, who did an invoice option instead, so I had to go in and manually do it, so it would change the 2 left to 1 left, you know, so it automatically updated that feature. We're doing Square for our PAC contributions, we need to start pushing that a little bit harder so we can get our PAC contributions up. And we still offer traditional invoicing, so we'll see how this all plays out when our annual billing takes place at the end of this month and into next month. So we'll see how many people use the Zeppi feature and how many don't. But we have 2 different buttons you can push on the website now, which says if you want to pay by credit card, do this. If you want to pay by invoice, do this. So take a minute, go look at it. The members only section, board packets, like I said, all that information is on there now. So there's your password. I don't know, I'll let you know if it changes, but it's out there.
Is the PAC, just for FYI, that's still individual contribution, right? It has to be a person.
It can be a business contribution as well.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just not tax deductible, okay?
Okay.
And I don't think cities can contribute to that.
That is that age-old great question as far as if you get funding from the city, I guess.
As long as you have any kind of funding that's private, you can, but if you're solely funded from municipal dollars or.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah,
you're
there's
not.
Yeah, so. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you for the clarification.
It would be nice to have that clarification somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know, if that- I mean, it used to get discussed when the PAC first started, but it hasn't been brought up for a while, that's why I'm asking. Yeah.
Explanation on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might get buried in the tools.
According to, AI, generally a 501c6 organization cannot directly donate to a PAC using general treasury funds.
Ministers can endorse candidates.
People used to get $100.
Good? Yep, good. New business real quick. Michelle, you still there?
I am.
You want to give a quick update on the Black Hills Energy Public Safety Power Shut Off Plan?
Sure. I don't know how much people have heard about this, but Black Hills Energy in the Black Hills is implementing a public safety power shutoff. They're calling it the PSPS, if you've heard about that. This is something that has been done in a lot of Western states, especially in California and Oregon and such. That Black Hills Energy will be implementing here. And while they haven't set an actual date that it will be implemented, they've been telling us that it would be implemented sometime in July. So that means about now. And what the public safety power shutoffs are, they are basically a proactive and preventative way to shut off the power in the event that there are specific conditions that may start fires. So we don't know what the criteria specifically will be, but they have told us it will have to do with high winds and low humidity. They've got a lot of criteria that they're looking at. They've got a meteorologist on staff. They're spending a lot of money on all sorts of different technological ways to look at the weather so they know when there will be a higher propensity for there to be a fire, and that potentially Black Hills Energy could cause a fire. So their plan is to proactively shut the power off. And this would not be a Black Hills wide thing. It would be only in the specific areas that are being affected. They'll be watching those really closely. So if they do shut them off, they're hoping it will just be a matter of hours. They actually have looked back on the past 6 years of weather conditions and have determined that this probably would have happened somewhere between 1 and 3 times somewhere in the Black Hills each year for the past 6 years. One of the interesting things that they did let us know about the last time we met was that traditionally these would not have happened in the summer. So there's been a lot of panic, of course, around power shutoffs in the summer because we're very, very busy, and that absolutely is a concern. And they're not saying it won't happen in the summer, but typically it does seem to happen in the late fall, winter, early spring. So yeah, it's a really interesting and new thing that we're going to have to deal with in the Black Hills. It's going to happen. We don't have any control over whether this will happen or when it will happen. They have told us that once the power goes off, when the conditions are better, they will inspect every inch of the line, and they can do this both aerially and on the ground. And as they can clear different sections of the line, they'll turn it back on. So again, they're saying, initially we were very concerned. We had heard that the power could be shut off for a week, and now they're telling us, well, it's probably only a couple of hours, and they will turn it back on along the way. But yeah, there's a lot more to come about this and to learn about this, but that's something that's kind of big that's happening in the Black Hills right now that actually could end up in the legislature. There was a bill this year, that would have helped with the liability of the energy companies if there was a fire, and it actually ended up getting pulled. But I would anticipate that maybe something may come up in 2026 or beyond. So that's something we'll have to watch. That's what I have for an update.
And we're waiting to hear back on possibly a workshop, is that correct?
Yeah, I actually got an email from Lynn Kendall at Black Hills Energy yesterday, and they are absolutely willing to do some sort of workshop with us. She asked if we could talk a little bit more about it, because what they would really like to do is have multiple people there from Black Hills Energy in different stations where people can talk. And so they were concerned that maybe it may not work great virtually, but that's something that we can talk about, because of course we have noted that this would be something that Black Hills Badlands and TCSD would like to do jointly if possible.
Okay. Any questions for Michelle? Kind of a big deal if it happens, so.
Yeah, I think the very first time it happens, it will become a much much bigger deal, you know, businesses who are being impacted by this, which are primarily businesses that are in the trees, in the forest, in areas that are much more likely to have low humidity and high winds. Once it does happen, it'll be really interesting to see how this goes. We've heard that businesses have been trying to buy generators, and it's about impossible to get generators right now. So I think that's the big concern right now is the timing of it and it happening so fast and the businesses not being able to have the ability to be prepared before it could happen.
Right. And concerns about, you know, if it did happen during peak travel, how do we deploy people to different locations in the hills? You know, if we have to move people quickly, that kind of stuff. So yeah, a lot of unanswered questions at this point, but
There are, and interestingly, I have talked to a number of DMOs in areas that have been impacted by public safety power shutoffs, and none of them have communications plans to help communicate to visitors or to their businesses.
guess we're inventing the wheel, huh?
I guess so.
Wow. Okay. Any questions for Michelle? Stay tuned, there'll be more on it, so. Thanks, Michelle.
Yep.
October board meeting and annual membership meeting is October 2nd. That's a Tuesday. We'll be in Pier from 11 until 2. We are trying to make this a little bit bigger of an event. So we have reached out to Destinations International speaker, Andreas Weisenborn. Thank you, Laura, for, you know, making that introduction. I've not heard back. I have sent several emails, so I've not gotten confirmation back. And really, I'm gonna make a phone call now because I'm not getting any emails back. So just trying to make
I
sure.
would wait till Monday, they're just getting done with their annual conference.
Yeah, you said they were just getting done. So, okay, I'll reach out next week then. It will be a lunch event, so we will probably charge this year, as opposed like what I had mentioned earlier. Since we will be paying for the speaker travel, we will do some sponsorships as well to help offset that particular cost. So, looking at a speaker and then also possibly some other like smaller breakout types of things, just to, again, the toolkit is probably gonna be done by then, hopefully will be done by then, let me just put it that way. So, you know, we'll probably do a piece on that as well. Jim, you are always there to do an update, which we hope you will plan on doing that again as well, so.
You said 11?
I'm sorry?
Is that right?
Oh, I have it as 11, is that, what do I have on the website? I think it's 11, I think it's 11 to 2.
Okay, thank you.
Just to allow for travel. Yeah. And then in other business, renewals start the end of this month. We'll be working on it into August for our regular renewals. We are not doing prorated memberships, so we will have memberships come due throughout the year, which I like personally. I know it's more to keep track of, you know, from that standpoint, but I like to see us having revenue coming in, you know, throughout the year. So anyway, that's my personal opinion again. If the board sees differently, let me know. Okay, last slide, I think. What's up? What's going on with you guys? You know everything about what's going on in my world. Except at the end of the month, I will be out for about 5 days. I'm having a little tune-up done on my eyes, so the 31st, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, I'll probably be a little out of commission, so. Okay. What's going on? Announcement, new stuff. I know people have stuff going on here. You wanna share? Josh, you wanna share anything going on in your world?
Busy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good to see you.
yeah. Great to see.
Connie, did you wanna share anything?
No.
Laura, we're looking,
I guess I don't.
don't have anything to share? Nothing big happening in Watertown?
Well, you take over the event center.
You what?
We have new ownership at the event center.
Okay, who's that?
Santo Tequila. It's opening the restaurant next door, so it's a Mexican restaurant.
Okay.
And then you're taking a video, so we'll see how it goes.
Okay. Great.
And then new city manager who started 2 weeks ago, so.
Who's that?
Alan Stager, he's from out of town, doesn't come from government background, the council is really seeking someone with like, to run the city as like a CEO, so they were
exploring all options. And they did a very extensive search, but he's been at Terex for 20 years and most recently did cover bodies, so. I actually have a meeting with him this afternoon, so I'm excited for that.
Okay, good. Yeah, good. Gary, anything new here, other than, always lots of stuff going on?
Well, we're keeping busy, Jacobson Plaza opened, as I'm sure, I hope you've seen, it's a playground down at the Levitt Falls Park entrance, and I don't know if it's been empty for 1 second since it opened. Every time I've been down there or down that way, it's packed. So it's wonderful for the community and of course for any visitors that come in. The prison thing has been big here, and somehow we got dragged into that last week a little bit, and I just kept my head low and, I'm not sure how we classify that as visitors, but you never know. The Berkeley district, if you've heard about that, we'll have some new convention center. It's a mess. And I don't think it's gonna. It needs to happen as far as additional meeting space. But there's so many factors with it, and our mayor unfortunately is done next June. We don't know who the next mayor might be. Are they gonna like it? Are they gonna dislike it? There are just so many political factors flying around out there, and I think it's gonna take a while, depending on who the leadership is.
On a positive note, don't you have the first 4-diamond hotel in the Dakotas?
That is true, and we can tell, it's very beautiful.
Yeah.
We're very fortunate to have that. And yes, to see that come out was nice.
Yeah.
The South Dakota Symphony also had huge recognition in, I think it was the New York Times. So that has been exciting. Our symphony is not just a symphony that performs once in a while. They are a true. They are in and of themselves like a little destination that sits over here, not middle, but there's something that there for every music lover, no matter what it isn't just symphony as we think of, the old word symphony. And they're reaching out across the state, they're on the reservations, working with children, with music and such, and they're just fabulous. And they're wanting to get more involved and do more, so I think that's a real plus. We took a harpist with us to a trade show. A few years ago, and we had more traffic than we've ever had because the backdrop of that show was the symphony. And it was like, you have a symphony there? And it's like, yeah, like one of the best. And it really drew people in to talk with us. Yeah. I will say business is down, sadly, and I know some of the rest of us are experiencing that same thing. We're pounding the pavement like crazy, but I'll tell you, the Canadian market just dropped out on us. Bus tours especially just kicked us. We're down 9.9%. Yeah, I don't think we've ever been down that low that I can remember. So we're working on our budget for next year right now, but we're also looking at the rest of this year's budget, and like we didn't go to DI. We're cutting the rest of the trade shows. We're gonna focus more on those meeting planners that we've met that maybe haven't come in yet, and let's get them in here and do the one-on-one and see if we can make something happen. Last week we did that with a woman who was interested in bringing a national show here, a national convention, but we didn't have enough space. We brought her in anyway. It was just something about her. We brought her in anyway, and she said, I am just shocked. I thought in my mind, South Dakota. And she said, I'm just, she can't, it was funny, we used to when we were driving around long places, every time she'd see something that impressed her, or that she had no idea that we might have here, she'd go, oh, shit. Yeah, we loved her. She turned around yesterday, she left here last Wednesday. Yesterday, she emailed, she'd bring me 2 more planners out, and we're doing another fan with them. So we've got potential of 4 future conventions out of that one list. I don't know what else, we're just trying everything. So,
Laura, we're excited to be in Brookings tomorrow.
I know, that's really exciting. We are thrilled to be able to host the Tourism Advisory Board. Fantastic, tours lined up, and we'll be meeting at the Children's Museum, so that'll be exciting. As you come in, you'll notice the big, construction project, our marketplace area is finally, after, I don't know, 20 years, sitting, huge lot right next to the interstate, sitting empty, is finally moving forward. There's definitely will be a Target, an Aldi, a Quick Trip, and then there are, a number of other businesses that are interested in building there. Presents an interesting challenge with us, and they're probably sick of me hearing about it, but I'm like, guys, this is our opportunity. If we want something, destination development to happen in this area, now is the time, because there still is some city-owned land that was within that. And I feel like if we don't take advantage of that opportunity now, we're gonna lose it, and all of a sudden it's gonna become great retail spot with a lot of concrete, and there's no way to invite people in and create that really cool entertainment destination type of area. So anyway, so that's good, and lots of opportunities there. We are really excited. We started our Brookings Tourism Ambassador Program last year, so we're 1 year into it. We're holding meetings or certifications every other month, but we're finding out that it's slow to catch on. But we've really been trying to work with the university to figure out how do we make a connection with those entities. There's also a big strategic initiative from the university to tie that into the community. So we have reached a point now where we've decided that one of the opportunities for us is to shorten our training. So instead of a 4-hour training, we're gonna condense it into those relevant things that can fit into an hour and a half. And in doing so, we get to get in front of 135 resident hall directors and people that can utilize that information then to help their students get out into the community. And so we're really excited about that opportunity. So that's coming up in about a month. And lastly, we are continuing with our merger process. For those of you who don't know, we are merging with our office, BEDC, Brookings Economic Development Corporation, the Chamber in downtown. It was presented to us as if this is not an option, this is happening. So it's been a very long process of a board, a merger committee kind of going through the details. There is now an official board that was named last month. They have yet to meet this month, but things like hiring a new CEO now will become a focus, as well as the branding piece of that. A lot of things can't really happen until you have those 2 pieces in place. So it's kind of a lot of hurry up and wait. So we'll kind of see how that looks. One of the things that I've been particularly proud of, though, when they were putting together the structure of what this new entity looks like, it started out with 2 pillars, kind of business services and experiences. I said, if this is an economic development organization, I think we need to elevate that word. So I think I was influential in helping them understand that instead of experiences, our pillar is now destination development. And we still have business development, and then they carved out kind of a middle piece that they're calling community development. So we're still trying to figure out what that looks like and where people will land. I think that before we get a CEO on board, they're going to start moving people in and creating those job descriptions and plugging people in. So the CEO that's probably realistically not hired until November. Our new organization is starting on January 1st. there's not enough time for that person to do everything that needs to get done. So I think they're realizing now that they need to plug people in and get us going and letting us help shape the organization. So moving forward, we'll see how it goes. Very happy that there is an understanding of how important the tourism piece is. So, we'll just see those things roll out.
Thanks for letting us be part of your one meeting. Appreciate that. Sorry for the
Appreciate
stay.
Wish there would have been more technical difficulties.
Yeah, it happens. Rosie, anything?
Great summer, except for the weather, you know, cooperation here, so. You know, this last year, we had a really slow start to the ice fishing season, because we were a year-round destination, right? You know, like January, February kicked off. We had a really hot first weekend in May, and then it got cold, windy, rainy, too much water. Some of that has tapered off now, like on Big Stone Lake and the, different rivers in our region, as well as like everything kind of flows north to south. So even like where my family's at, I Clear Lake, the water levels went down about 3 feet as that flows into Roy and everywhere else. But if you've driven up along Highway 12, about a month ago, the water was real close to the road. I mean, everything's just elevated, right? You get 5 inches of rain twice in 1 week. You know, it's a lot of water, so, but that high water brings great fishing, so I think the businesses themselves started out and slow then in May, but have just been running the races since the end of May through now. And so that part's great, weather also affects events, and so we had, several tornadoes the weekend, like of the Crystal Spring Tornado and other events, and so you know, fortunately for that, we didn't have any fatalities. Buffalo Ridge took over 100 people in the tunnels. For those that were on the tourism board and on the staff several years ago, they welcome people to come to the resort there and be in the tunnels. So in that regard, it was good. And they cleared out the Crystal Spring rodeo grounds. They were able to do that as well, but people might have seen the photos with the tornado off in the distance, right? So they're much more fortunate than that, the wind and rain kind of those things. I would say this last weekend, I think the Brookies Arts Festival probably had the best weather they've had in years. As well as a few other festivals, like the Northern Fork Playhouse and other ones, and so a lot of great events to come. The attractions I think are well steady, the retail is a little soft. That's kind of what I've heard from some people, in different communities, so to kind of keep that event attraction coming and people coming to town is the key for the rest of the summer years. We kind of roll things out, people are getting excited for Rally Rush and the kickoff for that, and so it comes a little earlier, the 1st of August, and so we'll see how that all goes in. Some concerns that I've heard from people is the whole overall politics and what they're hearing on the ground, and so from national down, right, and so some of that plays into a statewide organization as well, but our corridor is not seeing that Canadian traffic, and we talked about that at the previous tourism board meeting, that those buses have just canceled and aren't coming down. And that could turn around at some point, I'm not sure on the European status of people coming over or not, you know, we don't get as many of those on the eastern side of the state, we get some. But, there's some definite concern about that, and I'm seeing every day there's something new, right, but this morning there's the Ukrainian refugees that were given asylum here, and there was a statewide effort, which former Governor Nome supported. That was started by Lake Area Tech and the former President Mike Cartney. There was a statewide effort to host families and get them over here, which is a long process. We had a speaker at our annual meeting here a couple of years ago, and they have declined their appeal for asylum. So that really affects, and I don't know how many families that will affect, but I don't know how many the total is in our state, but there's a few families in Watertown, for example, that are working, you know, got jobs, have assimilated here and learning the language and everything else, and so point of that work was to build workforce development, right, also to be, you know, silent for the people, but that's in the news and in the local channel of social media this morning, and just seeing people that were on that committee just devastated, right? That she put all that effort in. So I don't know where that's all gonna go, but that's a concern on the ground as far as traffic goes. That sentiment is definitely out there. So I'll leave you at that. Part of it is the you know, the sandbar in Watertown posted pictures of Governor Nome and her family over the 4th of July weekend, which is great, but then there's flooding in Texas, so people make that assumption and you know, on different things, and so, a lot of stuff like that, that's not happening, but.
Can't control all that, so.
Oh, yes, but people are gonna fall, getting ready for festive season and hunting season, and so I know, you know. Cyrus at Double P Ranch from our board, he hosted our board meeting here in early May, and Kirk's already got a group form of 18 people coming. So, and he's already a well-established business, and he's just a really awesome person, so. And he is still at Double, Tourism Coalition member, I believe, I recruited him a few years ago. You have to check your list, but it's Double P Ranch by Clark.
I will check it out.
So, there you go.
Thank you. Gotta leave, Lisa?
Yeah, I do.
All right, thank you for coming.
Thank you, everybody. I have to get back to camp for meetings. We kick off our 10 days of events on Friday, so.
Good luck,
Nice meeting you all, and I'm already planning our 160th for next year, so.
Well, good.
Everybody come to the camp first.
All right. Thank you.
Yes.
Mike, what's new in your world?
Busy,
Yeah?
busy,
Huh?
and this summer's almost over, we're pushing big numbers and pushing them through, and I don't know.
New pool?
Yeah, we built a new pool this spring, which sucked with the weather, but we got it on. Much to my, like, wanting to kill everybody. It probably didn't help that I had a new baby in April, and so I didn't get a lot of sleep while I was on vacation.
Sure, pops back into shape.
Yes, it did, yeah. Sure you, don't tell my wife that.
Okay.
Yeah, and, we're building a new cottage, we're actually doing the underground plumbing, gets inspected tomorrow. So, and then we'll put the concrete cap on it here shortly, and then as soon as I decide I'm ready to start working on it, we'll throw the walls up and roof and hammering closed by mid-November, early November, and putz around all winter, and should be open in the spring without any issue.
Cool. Good.
So, you know, whenever I'm ready to start hammer again, I'm done.
And what do you got?
We just finished a big weekend and just met, we hosted some of the Little House on the Prairie, TV cast. We had screenings of a new documentary, good reviews on it, and positive reviews. Sioux Falls hosted Laura Palooza last week, a conference, I bet it's about 150, it's not a huge conference, but they did their field trip day in DeSmet on Friday, so it was kind of a convergence of events, I'm very tired, I'm still very, 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 very tired. But it was fantastic, and only good comments, so it kind of pulled it off, and so, and thank you for hosting them, they had a lovely time.
Thank you.
I heard so much good feedback on Sioux Falls, it was amazing.
Wonderful.
So, wonderful.
you.
time. Yes, it was
Thank you.
wonderful to hear all of that and see some of the social media posts and that kind of stuff. The official Little House on the Prairie social media loves you guys now, so. Let's see, in part of that, I had asked Carmen, since you referenced it for the group before, District 10 Senator Liz Larson had reached out, she had camped with us, and then she found out about this conference. So we invited her up on Friday, she hung out with the group, she welcomed the Laura Palooza people at their Friday luncheon, and then she stuck around and welcomed people to the first showing screening of the documentary. And she is a huge Little House fan, and she's so cute. This is because she did sort of invite herself, so that's why I was like, Carmen, what's going on here? And her comments were, when she started, she said, as legislators, we get invited to tons of stuff. She goes, this is the first event I've ever invited myself to. So she had a fabulous, the Argus Theater sent up a photojournalist, on Friday, and there was a great, piece on their website with just all good photos from the event on Sunday. That was really nice coverage for us to get, so that was all good. Our Main Street project is underway,
excavators, dirt, piles of gravel, half cut up sidewalks. Our main street is a disaster. 2 weeks ago, it took me 3 attempts to get from the bank to the post office. Not joking about that. It's a little bit of a mess, but everybody seems to be rolling with it, so it's going on. We're fundraising right now. We're trying to raise $1.8 million. We have a donor who's matching 1-to-1 right now, so that stuff is all going on. The public facing side of that will be a little bit more prevalent while we're lining up some of our big donors and having those meetings and stuff right now. That's all for the pretty stuff. And then, I don't know, it's slow here in some ways. It's been up and down. The weather has not been great. I had cancellations where it's too hot to camp in a covered wagon. Literally 48 hours later, it's too cold to bring our kids for a school trip or a summer program trip. So it's been a bit of a roller coaster on the weather, which really does affect us. But it's soft in some places. I think given what we have going on with construction and stuff, and the Canadian market really does affect us too. We see that traffic down I-29 and when we notice that it's not there now. And so just like Terry said, we're trying to pivot and do what we can, and probably will reallocate some of this funds over here into more marketing and build off of the things that we can do and, really try to make the most of what we can right now. So it's a lot of hustling, I feel like I'm just hustling this one off, which is okay. But, but the weekend was fantastic, and it's nice to have a real good positive weekend like that for the whole community, so.
And the weather was beautiful.
The weather was, it was a little windy on Friday, but other than that, so I was putting out tents. Putting down tents, right? Yeah, I kept mosquitoes away, they're awful up there. But, the weather was, we couldn't have asked for better weather throughout the weekend, so. Makes a huge difference. It does make a huge difference, so. That's what I got. I'm sure I got more, but that's all I was looking for now.
Thanks, Sam. Casey.
So as far as like visitor spending for the region, like Terry said, we're down a little bit this year. There's, Mitchell's up 10% for the year, but then you got Yankton down 2% as the county. I did hear from some of our event members, so Shakespeare Festival had some funding cut. I think it was through the humanities or some sort of organization that gets federal funding. But they did have some sponsors that rallied to come in and save the event. Chislik Festival reported sponsorship issues as well, but I think that they're moving forward. But with that in mind, we decided to keep all of our pricing the same this year to make sure we were there to help our members, as we were going into the season, knowing that there might be some financial concerns. I was excited to see that our sportsman's guide came in actually up over last year, so that gives me hope as we start working on sales for our 26 publications. But again, we're going to keep our pricing the same for our members for next year. We're working on website updates for our website to focus more on mobile friendly versions of it, and then adding in some video and just continuing to add content to our website. I visited Vermilion, Mitchell, and Canton recently, did some presentations there and visited with potential members and kind of got the scoop on the new things that are happening. I know Mitchell was having also some issues with their community leadership, but that seems to have kind of quelled down a little bit now, so that's good news for them. We also started a new webinar series. I think Carmen mentioned that. So that was came from the surveys that we did with our membership that we're looking for more resources and things like that. So the first one we did was with the Small Business Administration. The next one is going to be with Peggy Schlechter on agritourism. We're working with Vicki Stewart to do a similar presentation like they did at the tourism conference on ADA and making sure people are thinking about that as they're working on all different facets of their businesses. Carmen's going to be joining us to do a presentation on TCSD, but those have been going pretty well, and so we're excited to be able to offer that for our members. And then I know visitation in the state parks are up, but camping is still down a little bit. Doesn't seem like it's impacting Mike at all. But I do know in the Yankton area, we have just a plethora of, private campgrounds that have been going up. And so we talked to Jeff and Shane, or I guess you weren't there that night, but I talked to them at the commission meeting the other night. And so they think that that's, kind of like the catalyst for that. So it's just, and they said that, they had some false camping numbers, they feel like, because, people were coming and booking on Wednesday, because they wanted the weekend. And so, now that we have all these private campgrounds, they're still booking on the weekend, but they're not coming in on Wednesday, Thursday to try to keep those spaces. So, so there's ton of availability during the week, but I think it's starting to trend better now that the
If we
weather.
can count all those private campgrounds, camping will be through. the roof.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, yeah, I mean,
yeah,
yeah, whatever it is, 800 camper sites or whatever the stupid number is for anything.
I think I like 7 new ones by flat.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, eventually it's gonna get overran, there's gonna be too much supply.
Yeah.
Which is happening, I mean, I added 2 more sites, granted mine are full hookup, and I don't really care about them. But, I mean,
well,
they're busy enough,
it helps you with family reunions.
right, and that's the only reason I do it.
Yeah.
is, I mean. If I put in 2 sites to go through whatever, $200 for the weekend,
Mhm.
yay, like, but if I go to a cottage for 5,000 for that weekend because I have those 2 sites.
Mhm.
That's the only reason I do it, right? I can give the sites away for free, the cottage, right? Don't matter, but.
And I think the private campgrounds in our region, which we don't have a lot, but they do the extended stay. That's where state parks don't get to that, and I don't see that happening in the future. But that's the demand for it, is because if they're going on, they come up like, every other weekend to fish or something like that, they wanna just leave the camper there all summer long and they play the whole season. So say with like, let's say County Line by Summit, he had a lot of campsites when the cheese factory was going up and then the power plant and everything, so people just stayed there all through like fall to Christmas even. So that's the demand in our region. Now, there's not as near as many as there is in other parts of the state, but.
Yeah, that whole staying all summer and. Have on site is big.
Yeah, you just park it, you don't move it, you don't have to drive it, you have to back it up. Right now.
Yeah.
They don't even have to move it in the winter, they just leave it all there.
Yeah.
They you go get most campground running, there's campers that are literally there
Year round, so.
all year, yeah.
Yeah. Or they get a deal at the store up there. So that's what Andy says, so.
Interesting.
Yep.
Okay,
It works.
Zoom participants, who wants to go first?
There's not very many left.
Okay, who's there?
I think
Michelle's
Michelle's still on there. Yep, just Michelle.
Still taking notes.
She hung in there.
She's like, are you done pretty soon? I gotta get going.
Yeah, things are doing pretty well in the Black Hills. Interestingly, well, maybe not. Through April, we were soft, and then once May hit, we started to pick up. So I just looked up the visitor spending numbers through April. We were actually down 5.1%. And if you go through May, we were actually up 3-something%. So May really kicked off well, and I've heard June was really good. Over the 4th of July, on the 3rd of July, we had the vice president and his family here up at Mount Rushmore. It was horrendously hot. I felt awful for them being here trying to enjoy some of the area, but they did, and that was good. It just got overshadowed a little bit by the big, beautiful bill. Yeah, and other than that, we're just looking forward to a good summer as long as the weather holds out and we keep getting some rain, which is what we're going to have all day today. We're in the same boat as Casey on our products. People are feeling a little bit uncertain, so we left all of our pricing the same. And I know there aren't very many people there, but the people that are there, make sure you get your South Dakota Vacation Guide information in right away, because our deadline is a little shorter than it usually is. So all the regions will be relying on everybody to get their information in so we can have a great guide. And that's probably enough.
Okay, thank you. Who else is there?
That's it.
That's it?
Yep.
Okay, Mike, I'll turn the meeting back over to you. Call for an adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Who is it? Who?
The one made motion.
Connie moved,
And
Casey second.
Second. You get that, Michelle? Connie Ward. And me.
Thank you, guys. It went a little long, I'm sorry about that, but I really appreciate your feedback on the programs. So, okay.
Bye, Michelle. Did you send your guide with anybody?
Thank you for nothing.
Hey, you're throwing it.
We get ours board meeting.
Well, I don't even have that. I'll see you tomorrow.
What's that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
You love Ontario.
And I don't know, I got you guys a picture, but it's like.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Max,
I didn't know they were all.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you know, you're central and then. Or. So I'm very happy.
And I'm celebrating anniversary.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Really?
Really. Start me off.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
You're hilarious.
Mr. 8.
Yeah. We don't always make.
Yeah. We got 8 today.